shares his views on the hot button topics of the day, editorializing on various issues in the news, breaking news stories and expounding on stories. Cliff Says sets the tone of the show for the rest of the day. Join the award-winning journalist Cliff Hughes weekdays during Cliff Hughes Online at 10 to 10:30 a.m. Join the revolution in media.
Cliff Says is brought to you by Educom Credit Union, providing value through service, and Hyundai, modern premium affordable vehicles.
Ready to tackle that building project? Start right. Start here at H&L Rapid True Value for building supplies. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
Learn about smart betting strategies with AnyBet. Bet wisely, enjoy responsibly, and maximize your success. The temperature by AnyBet is...
It's 29 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 30 in Montego Bay.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
In Nationwide News at this hour, alarming, more than 2,000 of Jamaica's children have been sexually abused in the last 2 years.
3,014 sexual offences against 2,154 children were reported.
RADA pushes back against damning Auditor General report on fertilizer.
Promise kept. That's how the Prime Minister described today's opening of the Morant Bay Urban Centre.
Mark Golding says Andrew Holness should be disqualified from office over the non-certification of his statutory declarations.
In most countries that would allow him, he would no longer be eligible to run for office again in the country. The Labourites have no shame.
Lawyers from Montego Bay Mayor Richard Vernon questioned the legal ground on which he's being asked to explain his decision to remove PMP campaign posters.
In news from the rest of the world, new law passed in the Dominican Republic that imposes 25 years for migrant trafficking.
The U.S. Supreme Court appears divided over Trump's birthright citizenship ban.
In headline sports, Grand Slam track reduces the number of competition days, starting with the Philadelphia leg.
And later in our broadcast, in the cover story at 5:35, Sissoko is reporting that there's been more than 3,000 acts of sexual assault committed against more than 2,000 of Jamaica's children over the last 2 years. We'll get reactions.
In public opinion at 6:26, we ask, at what age should someone be considered elderly? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, RADA is pushing back against claims of poor oversight in the distribution of fertilizer gifted by the Kingdom of Morocco between 2019 and 2023. This is outlined in a report from the Auditor General's Department. The acting CEO of RADA, Garnet Edmondson, will join us.
And at 8, it's Jamaican Dads with Dennis Brooks, Garth Williams, Marlon Campbell, and Floyd Green.
All these and more as we take you home on air, on your mobile, Nationwide 90 FM, Nationwide Radio, JM.com, and on the Nationwide app. Available on the Google Play and the App Store. This Thursday afternoon, it's Thursday, May 15, 2025.
News at 5 is brought to you by the Crispy Barbecue Zinger from KFC. Back for a limited time with the flavor that makes everything crunch. KFC, it's finger licking good.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
And now to the details. There have been more than 3,000 acts of sexual assault against more than 2,000 of Jamaica's children over the last 2 years. That's according to data from the JCF Center for Investigation of Sexual Offences and Child Abuse, Sissoko. Despite the alarming figure, the police say there's been a decline in the reported cases of sexual offences against children when compared to 2023. Shalois Michael reports.
The disturbing figure comes as the nation mourns the loss of 9-year-old Kelsey Ferrigan. Kelsey was brutally murdered last Friday. It's reported that the child may have also been sexually assaulted before being stuffed in a barrel at her home in St. Catherine. The tragedy echoes the silent suffering of the more than 300 children who have reportedly been sexually assaulted so far this year. That's the number of cases of sexual offenses that have been reported. Still, head of Sisoka, Superintendent Carrie Ann Bailey, says the figure represents a near 37% reduction when compared to the corresponding period of 2023.
Between January 1, 2023 and May 12, 2025, 3,014 sexual offenses against 2,154 children were reported to the police. While our recent data shows a decline, with 333 cases this year compared to 527 during the same period in 2023, I must emphasize that one case is still one case too many.
She says majority of the reported cases since January fall under 3 major sexual offenses.
The types of offenses are deeply disturbing, including sexual intercourse with a person under 16, grievous sexual assault, and rape. This year alone, these 3 categories account for 253 of the 333 reports against children.
Reflecting on Kelsey's demise, Superintendent Bailey says the horrific ordeal is a chilling reminder that violence against the nation's children can be fatal. She's calling for a joint approach to tackle sexual abuse against children.
Tragically, as highlighted by recent events, the violence against children can be fatal. 10 children have been murdered since the start of this year, including infants and teenagers. These young lives lost underscore the brutal reality some of our children face. This demands a collective response from all of us. Please be vigilant. Pay attention to the children in your communities. If you see something, say something. Your awareness, your willingness to report suspicious activity can prevent a crime and save a child's life.
Child abuse reports may be made through Sisoka's WhatsApp at 876-224-5352 or call them directly at 876-926-4079. You can also call Crime Stop at 311, the police at 119, or visit the nearest police station. Shaloy Smichael for Nationwide News.
The Rural Agricultural Development Authority, RADA, is pushing back against claims that it poorly managed the distribution of fertilizer gifted by the Kingdom of Morocco between 2019 and 2023. This is among the findings of a damning performance audit done by the Auditor General's Department. The report was tabled in the House of Representatives on Tuesday. It raises red flags about how over 11,000 bags of fertilizer, valued at more than $54 million, were distributed by RADA through members of Parliament. The Auditor General's report says there's no clear evidence that the fertilizer ever reached farmers, with MPs failing to submit the necessary distribution sheets. But in a statement on Thursday, RADA says the fertilizer was not part of its regular production incentive program. It says the product was a diplomatic gift, therefore no procurement was done. RADA says it played a supporting role, facilitating distribution through MPs, and is now receiving distribution lists post-delivery. It says this will allow it to verify that farmers received the fertilizer. The authority also acknowledges that around 4,000 bags were initially damaged, but it notes that most were salvaged and used on pastures and research stations. RADA also admits gaps in inventory management, but insists reforms have been made, including efforts to improve oversight and set measurable targets for future distributions. RADA says it recognizes and respects the authority and oversight of the Auditor General's Department in its quest for probity and good governance. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says the opening of the Morant Bay Urban Centre in St. Thomas is proof that his administration has never forgotten the people of the parish. Dr. Holness made the comments at Thursday's ribbon cutting for the 20-plus acre property. The urban centre will see the people of St. Thomas have access to a modern courthouse, new municipal building, tertiary education and training centres, and multiple commercial and civic services in the coming months. Ricardo Brooks has the story.
A light drizzle could not dampen the spirits of the hundreds of guests, invited and otherwise,
who turned out to see the opening of the most significant development in St. Thomas in decades. The Prime Minister told the attendees the $6 billion centre represents his promise to never forget the people of what has often been described as the forgotten parish.
The people of St. Thomas wanted to see the signs of modernity in their parish. 10 years later, I am able to stand here and say, St. Thomas, I did not forget you. St. Thomas, you are now at the cutting edge, the frontier of new developments in Jamaica.
Amid clanging pot covers and constant cheers, Dr. Holness outlined a slew of infrastructure investments his government has made in the Eastern Parish. But Holness says it's not just roads.
We have built this Morant Bay Urban Centre at a cost of $6 billion Jamaican dollars. We have built the Yalas Fire Station at a cost of $163 million Jamaican dollars. We have upgraded the Acadia and Port Morant Health Centre at a cost of $37 million Jamaican dollars. Not to mention the whole heap of social housing that we have given in the parish, and today I'll be handing over about 6 more.
Workers were seen in a video affixing the logo for a popular fast food outlet to a building that had neither doors nor paint. It's the first time in the history of St. Thomas that the popular chicken outlet was being opened there. But the move to cut the ribbon ahead of full completion of the urban centre is a reminder that this is a Prime Minister acutely aware of a pressing electoral timetable and eager to put runs on the political board. The Prime Minister says he intends to return to the parish in the future to see the full fruits of the centre. He quipped that when he returns, he'll still be at the helm of government.
There is much more to be done. Much more. We have 13.5 acres of land in proximity to this development. And I want you to look out for it, because I intend to come to the first festival or stage show that is kept there, when Gramps and the Morgan family is performing, when Popcorn, as Prime Minister, of course. What do you think? I intend to be there to hear Tony Ann sing.
Ricardo Brooks for Nationwide News.
Opposition leader Mark Golding says in most other countries, the continued non-certification of statutory declarations of the Prime Minister would disqualify him from office. Golding made the claim while addressing party supporters at a rally in South St. James on Wednesday.
It is not a good look. It is not good for Jamaica. And most countries that would disallow him, he would no longer be eligible to run for office again in the country. The Labourites have no shame. They only want power. Anyway, they're not going to keep it because the people of Jamaica have had enough. And them say time come and they want a change. And we represent a force, a championing.
The Prime Minister's statutory declarations were last certified by the Integrity Commission in 2022. The Integrity Commission Act requires that the declarations of both the Prime Minister and the opposition leader be certified and published in the National Gazette. Golding took the Prime Minister to task for his legal filings against the anti-corruption body.
It is putting the government and the country into disrepute. He has even gone so far as to try to get the Integrity Commission itself removed, undermined by judicial process, taking the matter to court. He's even trying to say that the offense for which he is being investigated, which is called illicit enrichment, where your assets exceed your disclosed income and you have failed to explain how you lawfully came upon those assets, he's trying to get that offense struck from the law books.
Mark Golding, opposition leader. The PNP's Nikisha Burchell is seeking to unseat the JLP's Homer Davis in South St. James at the next general election.
The legal battle over the removal of PNP political signs in St. James is heating up. Lawyers for the mayor of Montego Bay, Richard Vernon, are pushing back against a request from the political ombudsman to explain the removal of opposition campaign posters in the parish. They are questioning the legal ground on which he's being asked to explain his decision. Siobhan Campbell tells us more.
According to the law firm Bennett Cooper Smith, acting on behalf of Mayor Richard Vernon and the St. James Municipal Corporation, the political ombudsman's request for an explanation about the removal of PNP campaign posters lacks legal merit. This was outlined in a letter dated May 5. In it, the firm refers to a previous correspondence dated April 25, which asked Mayor Vernon to explain his role in the removal of the posters. It's a move the opposition says breaches the political code of conduct. However, the mayor's legal team argues that the corporation was simply carrying out its statutory duties under long-standing town and country planning regulations, which predate political conduct laws by decades. They say the regulations are not unclear or ambiguous as to the obligations of the municipal corporation, nor are the other relevant laws under which the corporation has jurisdiction. The letter says the corporation is neither a political party nor a person, and the mayor, who is also the chairman of the corporation, performs his duties as such. The firm also raised concerns about media reports on the issue, claiming Mayor Vernon first learnt of the letter through the press before receiving it in a sealed envelope. He's asked the Office of the Political Ombudsman to confirm whether it disclosed the matter to the media and what steps are in place to protect confidentiality. 3 prospective PNP candidates, Dr. Andre Horton, Senator Janice Allen, and Alan Bernard, have taken the matter to the Supreme Court, accusing the municipal corporation of political victimization. They're seeking to represent West Central, Central, and Northwest St. James. They argue the removal of their posters was unlawful and are calling for the signs to be restored. Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
You're listening to the news on Nationwide at 5. We'll have more after these.
Celebrate 26 years with IQ Optical. Enjoy 26% off your prescription eyewear and sunglasses this month only. Book your appointment or take your prescription to IQ Optical in New Kingston, Manor Park, or Drexel. Conditions apply. The time by IQ Optical is...
It's 16 minutes after 5.
Rentokil Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rentokil Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rentokil is...
It's 29 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 30 in Montego Bay.
It's only 5 days. 5 days of drive-away deals with ultra-low prices on a new Mazda. Up to $2 million off or top-of-the-line Mazda. Enjoy the super comfortable CX-30 or CX-60. Step up to the new family 3-row Mazda CX-90. Level up to executive motors now and steer into incredible savings. Up to $2 million off. Don't miss out. 5 days only. Visit us now at 8 Moresco Road, Kingston, or call 92 Mazda. Find us online at MazdaJA.com. Conditions apply.
Continuing the news, at least 9 illegal guns have been seized by the police across Area 4 over a 48-hour period. The seizures occurred between Tuesday and Wednesday. 2 men have been arrested in connection with the seizures. Dana Davy reports.
Among the guns seized on Tuesday are a black and silver Storm Ruger, a black Ruger Mayodan AR-556 high-powered rifle, a black and silver Taurus PT 24-7 9mm pistol, and another 9mm pistol. 23-year-old Fabian Anthony Thomas, otherwise called Messi, has been charged for the Sturm Ruger. The gun was reportedly found in a duffel bag Thomas was carrying when he was accosted on Tarrant Drive in Kingston 10. Following his arrest, the police, acting on further intelligence, went to a location in the Tarrant community where the black Ruger Mayodan AR-556 high-powered rifle was found. Nationwide News understands that preliminary intelligence suggests the gun belongs to the arsenal of the Upsetter gang based in the Kingston Western Division. The weapons are said to have been sourced through the Guns for Drugs trade from Haiti. 4 more guns were seized on Wednesday. These include a black M4 rifle, a black Core 15 CXV rifle, a black and green Glock 43 9mm pistol, another 9mm pistol, and a rifle. One man, 33-year-old Leon Roy Williams, otherwise called Matthew, has been charged in connection with the seizure of the CXV rifle. Preliminary intelligence suggests that the firearm belongs to the nighttime brawling gang. According to the reports, Williams was arrested after attempting to flee a police dragnet on Providence Penn Lane in the Swallowfield community in St. Andrew Central. The police say their teams came under attack from residents in the area during Williams' arrest. The residents reportedly discharged firearms and other projectiles at the policemen. The police say they later received reports that a woman from the area went to seek medical attention for a gunshot wound sustained in the incident. A full investigation is underway to determine the circumstances of the shooting. Meanwhile, 2 firearms were seized by the Manchester police on Thursday and 5 people were arrested. The seizures occurred in the Greenville and Cumberland areas. Dana Davey for Nationwide News.
The country's point-to-point inflation rate increased slightly to 5.3% at the end of April. That's according to the Statistical Institute of Jamaica Statin. This is up from 5% the month prior. According to Statin, this was influenced mainly by increases in the index for the division's food and non-alcoholic beverages, housing, water, electricity, gas and other fuels, restaurants and accommodation services. Meanwhile, inflation for the month of April declined by 0.4%. The largest contributor to this downward movement was a 1.4% fall in the index for the housing, water, electricity, gas and other fuels division.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose Assembly and Supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
The Dominican Republic has approved a bill that imposes penalties of up to 25 years in prison for migrant trafficking. The legislation was passed in the Senate during its second reading this week. A key feature of the bill is its strict stance on public officials found guilty of involvement in smuggling migrants. In addition to any prison sentence, such officials would be barred from holding public office for up to 20 years. The proposal marks a significant departure from the executive branch's original draft. That draft recommended a 5-year suspension from public service for first-time offenders and a 10-year suspension for repeat offenders. The bill now moves to the Chamber of Deputies for further debate and approval. If enacted, it would represent one of the Dominican Republic's strongest legal measures to date against human smuggling networks.
U.S. President Donald Trump took his bid to end birthright citizenship to the U.S. Supreme Court on Thursday. The case asks whether lower court judges should be able to block presidential orders for the entire country, as they have done in this case. The justices did not appear to reach a consensus as they considered both sides during Thursday's 2-hour-long hearing. The U.S. Solicitor General argued that lower courts overstepped their authority, saying this power should be curtailed. But the New Jersey Solicitor General, arguing on behalf of a group of states, says siding with Trump would create a patchwork system of citizenship.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose Assembly and Supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour. Alarming. More than 2,000 of Jamaica's children have been sexually abused in the last 2 years.
3,014 sexual offenses against 2,154 children were reported.
RADA pushes back against damning Auditor General report on fertilizer.
Promise kept. That's how the Prime Minister described today's opening of the Morant Bay Urban Centre.
Mark Golding says Andrew Holness should be disqualified from office over the non-certification of his statutory declarations.
And most countries that would disallow him, he would no longer be eligible to run for office again in the country. The Labourites have no shame.
I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app. It's available on the Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
News at 5 was brought to you by the Crispy Barbecue Zinger from KFC. Back for a limited time with the flavor that makes everything crunch. KFC, it's finger licking good.
KFC is back with the Crispy Barbecue Zinger. So delicious, this one is a winner. Spicy with bacon, onions, cheddar, and the smoky barbecue sauce.
Crispy Barbecue Zinger from KFC is back. A delicious spicy zinger with bacon, cheddar cheese, crispy onions, and smoky barbecue sauce. Available for a limited time. The craving that makes everything crunch. KFC's Crispy Barbecue Zinger. It's finger-licking good.
The crispy barbecue zinger from KFC with the smoky barbecue sauce.
Delicious meals, poolside cocktails, right on the beach. Disconnect from your daily worries and reconnect with the one you love. There's no paradise like home. This summer, enjoy a romantic all-inclusive escape at Couples Tower Isle, Couples Sans Souci, Couples Negril, or Couples Swept Away from $295 USD per night. Take advantage of this offer today by visiting Couples Resorts at couples.com. Conditions apply.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. They almost always have it.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Organizers of Grand Slam Track, the newest series on the global athletics calendar, have announced a few changes to the format of the league. Starting with the third stop on the 4-meet series in Philadelphia, the competition will now be held over 2 days instead of the 3, which it started out with in the inaugural meet in Kingston and the second in Miami. So the event at Franklin Field Stadium, home of the Penn Relays, will now be May 31 to June 1. In other changes, the men and women long-distance race groups will each compete in a single 3,000 meters, and because they'll only be competing in just one race, the prize pool has also been adjusted, with the winner taking home US $50,000. Meanwhile, 5 challengers have so far been announced for the Philadelphia leg, including Isabella Whitaker, Josh Hoey, Hobbs Kessler, Nia Atkins, and Georgia Hunter Bell. Superstar Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce is promising something special when she competes in the women's 100 meters at the Wonder Diamond League meeting in Doha, Qatar tomorrow. She's got strong competition from the Swiss Munjinga Kambunji and Natasha Morrison, along with the Clayton twins Tia and Tina. Fraser-Pryce says she's in a good place at the minute.
The last 2 years I've raced sparingly, so I really want to get back into that race sharpness. I really want to get back into some competitive races. I really just kind of know where I'm at and how training has been going. Training has been fantastic by far. This has been the best year I've had in terms of training in the last 3 years. So I'm really looking forward to see, just the execution and really, just working on putting the race together tomorrow. And I think tomorrow is going to be special, and I'm really excited about that. Excited to have that competitive drive, because again, the last 2 years I have not raced much, and even though you're doing track for such a long time, you still need to be practicing your craft, and the best way to do that is to show up in races.
She says Doha holds fond memories for her.
2019 was really special for me. I would like to think of Doha as a place of, defying the odds, because I had my son in 2017. So I was coming back from having my son. I had the off year in 2018. So I had time to really get myself back, in shape and ready to go. And 2019, being able to cross that line after having my son, after turning 30, where a lot of persons think that when women turn 30, then put on top of that having a child, they kind of just put you in a box. But being able to have that moment in Doha, and not only that moment, but the moment of having my son on the track was really special. So I really look forward to, again, having a spectacular, evening tomorrow, and excited about that.
Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce. Meanwhile, 7 other Jamaicans are down to compete at the third stop on the Diamond League circuit. Frederick Dacre, Shanika Ricketts, Romaine Beckford, Raymond Richards, Rashid Broadbell, Adele Tracy, and Malik James King. And in just over half an hour from now, almost half an hour from now, the defending champions Cavalier and former winners Arnett Gardens will take to the field at the Montego Bay Sports Complex in Catherine Hall, St. James, to contest the first leg of semi-final 1 in the Ray & Nephew Jamaica Premier League. This is the first game of a doubleheader, which will have title favourites and regular season table toppers Mount Pleasant Academy facing the home side Montego Bay United at 8 p.m. The teams will meet in the second legs on Sunday at Sabina Park. FC Barcelona won a 28th Spanish League title on Thursday after seeing off local rivals Espanyol by 2-0. Starman Lamine Yamal scored a brilliant opener in the 53rd minute before laying on the assist as Fermin Lopez banged home the second with just seconds left in the game.
Here's Lamine Yamal inside again. He'll finally be able to get a curling shot up and score for Barca. The big man for the big occasion, Lamine Yamal, scores once again. Lamine Yamal's got it though, and it's come to Fermin, the finishing touch on the La Liga title. Club Barcelona late in the derby. Fermin Lopez puts the ball into the net to double the lead. Barcelona are surely champions now, and they get their second goal in stoppage time, set up by Lamine Yamal.
It was the third time Barcelona was winning La Liga at Espanyol's RCBE Stadium. The game, though, was paused for a short time in the first half as news broke of an incident outside. A car drove into fans, 13 people injured, 4 taken to hospital, but none were said to be in serious condition. And finally, in sports at this time, coach of the West Indies, Darren Sammy, says the Tour of Ireland is a first step in their quest to qualify for the 2027 ICC One-Day International World Cup. The Caribbean men are set to face the hosts in 3 one-day internationals from May 21 to 25. The first game will be played in Dublin on Wednesday. And you'll hear from Darren Sammy in our major sportscast, which will come your way at 6:05 this evening.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. They almost always have it.
This Labor Day, Sherwin-Williams Jamaica is helping you prep like a pro. Get 30% off all road marking paints and 15% off painting accessories. Whether you're painting curbs, crossings, or schoolyards, we've got you covered. Hurry in. The sale runs from May 16 to 22, 2025, only at Sherwin-Williams Jamaica.
KFC is back with the crispy barbecue zinger. So delicious, this one is a winner. Spicy with bacon, onions, cheddar, and the smoky barbecue sauce.
The crispy barbecue zinger from KFC is back. A delicious spicy zinger with bacon, cheddar cheese, crispy onions, and smoky barbecue sauce. Available for a limited time. The craving that makes everything crunch. KFC's crispy barbecue zinger. It's finger-licking good.
The crispy barbecue zinger from KFC with the smoky barbecue sauce.
Make a toast to your future. The JTA Cooperative Credit Union is by your side. All educators, the best is what you deserve.
We'll keep your dreams alive.
Competitive loans to help you grow.
We'll take you higher.
Great returns on your savings. A bright future is in the making.
Build the best you with the best credit union. We are committed to serving you.
The JTA Cooperative Credit Union, serving our members, impacting lives positively.
KFC is back with the crispy barbecue zinger. So delicious, this one is a winner. Spicy with bacon, onions, cheddar, and the smoky barbecue sauce.
The crispy barbecue zinger from KFC is back. A delicious spicy zinger with bacon, cheddar cheese, crispy onions, and smoky barbecue sauce. Available for a limited time. The craving that makes everything crunch. KFC's crispy barbecue zinger. It's finger-licking good.
The crispy barbecue zinger from KFC with the smoky barbecue sauce.
It's only 5 days. 5 days of drive-away deals with ultra-low prices on a new Mazda. Up to $2 million off or top-of-the-line Mazda. Enjoy the super comfortable CX-30 or CX-60. Step up to the new family 3-row Mazda CX-90. Level up to executive motors now and steer into incredible savings. Up to $2 million off. Don't miss out. 5 days only. Visit us now at 8 Moresco Road, Kingston, or call 92-MAZDA. Find us online at MazdaJA.com. Conditions apply.
More savings, more choices. Get active with Active Home Center. The one-stop shop for everything for your home. We have more savings, more choices, unbelievable prices. Wide selection with the latest styles. The kitchen, bathroom, right down to the tile. Buy the hottest items on spot, don't miss out. Best options under one roof, no doubt. More savings, more choices.
Visit us in store or online at www.activehomecenter.com.
We have more savings, more choices.
I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Alan Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we are all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads Podcast. It's a revolution in media.
Pull back here to Liamalu, lets it run.
European Champions League history will be created on Saturday, May 31.
Marino into Saka, brilliantly done!
When Nationwide 90 FM takes you live to the Allianz Arena in Germany for European club football's big night out. The Bayern Munich Stadium in Bavaria will be the staging ground for the last stand.
Lamine Yamal skips away from Mkhitaryan. Oh, that's brilliant!
The final battle to determine the best on the continent.
It is Declan Rice. Oh! Absolutely unstoppable!
The Champions League final is live on Nationwide 90 FM, Saturday, May 31, and it's brought to you courtesy of the Amber Group, pioneering innovation. And Anybet, your best bet.
Dembele has other ideas. What a chance! What a goal!
The game can also be seen live at Carib 5.
Cover Story is brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
Multilink. Access every time, everywhere I go. Multilink. 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use Multilink. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere. Spend while supporting the economy.
Look for the Multilink logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network.
Multilink, 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my Multilink?
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, "By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path." Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's Word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis. Weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of the Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
Good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us here on Nationwide at 5. It's time for the cover story. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis. Good afternoon to you, Ricardo, and good afternoon to your and to our listeners.
Good afternoon, Sanjay.
There have been, listeners, more than 3,000 acts of sexual assault against more than 2,000 of Jamaica's children over the last 2 years. That's according to data from JCF's Center for Investigation of Sexual Offences and Child Abuse, CISOCA. Despite the alarming figure, the police say there's been a decline in the reported cases of sexual offences against children when compared to 2023. Shalois Michael reports.
The disturbing figure comes as the nation mourns the loss of 9-year-old Kelsey Farragon. Kelsey was brutally murdered last Friday. It's reported that the child may have also been sexually assaulted before being stuffed in a barrel at her home in St. Catherine. The tragedy echoes the silent suffering of the more than 300 children who have reportedly been sexually assaulted so far this year. That's the number of cases of sexual offences that have been reported. Still, head of CISOCA Superintendent Carrie Ann Bailey says the figure represents a near 37% reduction when compared to the corresponding period of 2023.
Between January 1, 2023 and May 12, 2025, 3,014 sexual offenses against 2,154 children were reported to the police. While our recent data shows a decline, with 333 cases this year compared to 527 during the same period in 2023, I must emphasize that one case is still one case too many.
She says majority of the reported cases since January fall under 3 major sexual offenses.
The types of offenses are deeply disturbing, including sexual intercourse with a person under 16, grievous sexual assault, and rape. This year alone, these 3 categories account for 253 of the 333 reports against children.
Reflecting on Kelsey's demise, Superintendent Bailey says the horrific ordeal is a chilling reminder that violence against the nation's children can be fatal. She's calling for a joint approach to tackle sexual abuse against children.
Tragically, as highlighted by recent events, the violence against children can be fatal. 10 children have been murdered since the start of this year, including infants and teenagers. These young lives lost underscore the brutal reality some of our children face. This demands a collective response from all of us. Please be vigilant. Pay attention to the children in your communities. If you see something, say something. Your awareness, your willingness to report suspicious activity can prevent a crime and save a child's life.
Child abuse reports may be made through Sisoka's WhatsApp at 876-224-5352 or call them directly at 876-926-4079. You can also call Crime Stop at 311, the police at 119, or visit the nearest police station. Shaloy Smichael for Nationwide News.
Thank you, Shaloy. With us now to discuss, we're being joined by the director of Hear the Children's Cry, Nigel Cooper, president of the National Secondary Students Council, Laurel Williams, and attorney at law and executive director of the Jamaica Youth Advocacy Network, Shanique Bowden. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Shanique, let me start with you. Your reaction to these figures from Sisoko.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me. So, I'm not sure what my reaction can be other than disheartened. It's quite alarming that the numbers are what they are. And I think it's also on par with some data that we'd have also heard about today in a session that we were having online at JAN. Seeing where 3 and 4 boys and girls have experienced at least one instance of physical and sexual violence in their lifetime. We know that young women are disproportionately affected as well by sexual violence. 1 in 4 girls, comparable to 1 in 10 boys. The statistics, as they are just, disheartening. Are to comprehend the society that we are sort of allowing our children to exist in that doesn't really protect them from these sort of violent instances.
Mm-hmm. And Nigel Cooper, this is not the first we've heard of, the kind of alarming crimes against our children, and yet they persist despite repeated outcry, public education campaigns. Why? Why do you think this problem persists in our society?
Well, as I said, these numbers aren't alarming to us and those who are working in the space. Why they persist, there is a combination of factors. Part of it is, our society, the moral compass of our society. For some persons, and not all society in Jamaica, but some persons in our society is gone. And so we need to build that back and to put in mechanisms, programs, and actions to fight against this trend. It cannot continue. We're losing our children. Our children, are dying. Our children are being raped, abused, and so we need urgent action. And it takes resources. It takes us to sit around the table and put resources in place.
And Laurel, as a student leader, how do you feel about this report from Sissoko?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. This report is truly, it's deeply disturbing. These are our friends, these are our nation's children whose lives have been, whether they were murdered, their lives were taken, or have just been tragically just have taken a complete 360. Because even survivors of these sexually violent acts, they still have to carry the weight of it each and every day, and we see the horrendous impact that it has on them, not only on their personal lives, it impacts their education, it impacts all of them, and it's truly a disheartening statistic to even see. And though there is a reduction, as was said, it's one case too many, and the numbers are truly alarming.
Yeah. Hold the line for us. We're up on a break. Let's take the break and come back to continue the discussion with you.
Chuck fried chicken always ready. Burn Chuck, original crispy. Burn Chuck, Cajun spicy. Burn Chuck, a barbecue. Burn Chuck, we are go a Burn Chuck.
The temperature brought to you by Bird Shack Fried Chicken in Kingston, Montego Bay and Ochivios is...
It's 29 degrees Celsius in Kingston and 31 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay.
Tired of waiting for your ride? Want safety and peace of mind on every journey? Amber On Time is here! With verified drivers, real-time vehicle tracking and panic button with armed security response, your safety is our priority. Reliable service, easy booking, premium experience, it's all just a tap away. Download Amber On Time today!
Don't fall victim to deepfakes.
Watch out.
Protect yourself.
How are this
For
on
more
my TV?
information, visit broadcastingcommission.org or
Here ya,
scan
baby.
the QR code on screen.
Deepfake. No deepfake can't catch me.
Junior, you know say AI can make something will look and sound just like you? One day Junior get a voice note from her granny. Say the food done, the medication done, and she need money urgently.
Need money urgently? But Miss Pat no like ask people for things.
And as so comes Judy get suspicious.
So what she do?
She asks the neighbor to go check pan her. Junior, the lady quite alright over there make her Sunday dinner.
So the voice note a deepfake?
Yes, my love. Come, your food ready.
Right now it look like we have to outsmart the AI. But wait, I really want dege dumpling here, give me.
Me I wonder if AI can make one deep fake dumpling for you.
To learn more about deepfakes, visit www.broadcastingcommission.org.
Want to reduce your high electricity bills? Then Peak Energy has the solution for you. From grid-tied to hybrid solar inverters with full lithium-ion battery pack. Installation and maintenance packages available. Visit us at Shop 1, 3 Mosquito Valley Road, Red Hill, St. Andrew. Call 876-279-8820 or 944-0668. Or email us at peakenergysolutionsja@gmail.com. Peak Energy for everything solar.
Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. We're discussing some figures from Sissoko. 3,000 acts of sexual abuse against more than 2,000 of Jamaica's children over the last 2 years. With us, Shanique Bowden, attorney at law and executive director of Jamaica Youth Advocacy Network. Laurel Williams is the president of the National Secondary Students Council. And Nigel Cooper is director of Hear the Children's Cry. Shanique Bowden, one of the suggestions, or I suppose a solution, we've heard recently is consideration of making the sex offenders registry public. Do you have an opinion on that as to whether you think that would assist in easing this scourge?
I think most definitely it would assist in sort of mitigating against some of the issues that we're seeing. One of the things regarding the discussion around the sexual offences registry and it being accessible to the public is so that we are in the know, particularly in the cases when we factor in that there are persons who may be repeat offenders, they are being reintegrated in society, and they may relapse. It's important to sort of assess and ensure that we are putting our children and our general community at large in the best place possible. We should be able to know who is living beside us in any given instances. If I'm a person who has young children in my home, in my community, we should know who is also living amongst us that may want us to exercise some level of caution. It's about protecting our children and adolescents. It's about promoting transparency and accountability. And it's also ensuring that we are putting human rights concerns at the forefront. And especially when we think about children, their protection is the paramount consideration. We should ensure that we're balancing privacy against ensuring that we're prioritizing the safety of our children and ensuring that the relevant people who need to know can know who, is living amongst us and ensuring that we're putting our children in a place to be as protected as possible.
I think most people would... go ahead, Sanjay.
Yeah, and to Nigel, you have long advocated for stronger prevention mechanisms. What should a truly effective national response to child abuse look like?
Comprehensive, well thought of, but I want to come to the question that you asked your other participant. That we definitely believe for sure that a repeat offender somebody who's a repeat offender, that must be made public, sexual offender. For those that are their first time offense, we believe that for both the repeat offender and the first time offender, there needs to be greater monitoring to know their movements. So whether it's a JP, I know some justice of the peace people don't know them respectively, but the JPs can be given their name, their information. So even for first time offenders, we want them to be greater monitored, and for repeat offenders, it should be made public. In terms of there are two things quickly. There's how do you protect your child outside the walls of your house, and how do you protect your child inside the walls of your house. So outside the walls of the house, you want to try and minimize the opportunity for somebody to harm your children. So that includes your child taking a photo of a taxi or bus that they're getting into, your child walking in groups. On our website, www.hearthechildrenscryja.com, we have several tips. We want to also encourage the government to have after-school programs with churches and schools where if a parent is working, the school or church and community will keep them in a safe space until the parent can pick them up. These are some of the things that can help minimize opportunity when they're outside the house. But here's a big challenge we have, Ricardo and other panelists, is there are some of the attacks are happening inside the walls of your house. A father, a stepfather, a brother, a relative. And that's harder. That now you require a change. You need strong laws again, but you also need a change the mindset. You need a deep change of the culture and behavior modification, and that takes resources and a coordinated that we need to sit down with government, with other stakeholders to work out what type of campaign can we have to come against this type of behavior.
Yeah. I want to go back to Shanique, and then I'm going to come back to you, Nigel, because the question of making the registry public, I think most people would agree with the answer both of you gave. I mean, I agree. But then there's obviously the question of jungle justice, yeah? So we make the registry public, and you know that Tom Brown down the road was convicted of having assaulted a child or an adult, and then the community says, we don't want Tom Brown here at all. And they set up on Tom Brown and beat him and perhaps kill him. How do we strike that balance? Shanique?
Okay, that's a very interesting question, Ricardo. I think it's a multitude of things to be considered. There is also a need to, of course, protect persons who may have been accused of an incident, especially if they're still going through that process. Guilt, innocent until proven guilty, sort of thing. So I'm not sure how our framework around just how we reintroduce offenders or accused into the community can be reshaped to ensure that we're trying to minimize those sort of risks. Because I do think on the one hand, the community should know, the mother with her 2 young daughters should know, but we also, the offender does also have a right to, life and to protection. And so I think it's to look at how we can reassess or rehabilitative mechanisms to have a more smoother re-entry into the community and sort of assess from there, because I think it cannot be, it might sound blunt, but it's not a case of sparing one life for the other.
Yeah.
And frankly, if the life to be spared is the child, I will always choose the child. But we also have to ensure that we aren't seemingly promoting any sort of, aggression and jungle justice, as you say.
Yeah.
And so I think it starts with looking at how we can revamp our rehabilitative frameworks to make that transition back into the community a bit more, I suppose, acceptable, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, and Nigel, that point Shanique makes that's the crux of it, because it's such a complicated issue, because we say people go to prison and they pay their debt to society, but obviously there's a palpable sense of anger in the society, and there's a sense.
Ricardo, that is why our position is repeat offenders.
Yes.
It needs to be public. We're very specific in our call. If you're a repeat offender, it will be public. If you're a first-time offender, we wouldn't make it public when we have more persons having access, the JP in the community, to monitor what's happening, to know. Because part of the breakdown is these persons I don't believe they're heavily monitored. Correctional services have that responsibility.
Yes.
But more monitor JPs who are supposed to be in the community knowing what's happening. So, but as far as children's crime is concerned, repeat offenders needs to be public. If you're a repeat sexual offender, it needs to be made public.
No, there's also the issue, because you mentioned it, Nigel, about the fact that some of the time some of this is happening inside the home. Yeah. And we hear stories, horror stories sometimes, of why a parent may look the other way when these reports are made. It might be financial, that, whoever the offender is the breadwinner, that kind of a thing. Those details, those intricacies about, disempowerment and, financial dependability, how do we respond to those things in a way so that we can make sure we're protecting the children inside the home?
And that's why we continue to have our call for a 10-year disruptive poor parenting practice project. We need 10 years to change culture. I said last time I was on your program, to change culture is one of the most difficult things to do. We need a comprehensive 10 years. It's going to take time and money, billions of dollars to pump into the program to change behavior modification, because it's going to take time. Need strengthening, so there's a lot of parts to the solution. Change laws, improve laws, but there needs a massive poor parenting practice campaign against it, a 10-year project, well-resourced, to change persons' attitude and beliefs over time.
Yeah.
Or else we're going to come back again and repeat, because you're not changing behaviors. And that's hard to do.
Yeah.
And that's why we need a 10-year period to do it.
Let me hear Laurel on this. What kind of education or outreach do you think should happen among students themselves, really to empower them to speak out if they see this happening to their friends, that's abuse, or it's happening to them?
I think one of the main issues in the Jamaican society is the stigmatization of reporting, the whole mentality of inform of the dead. And the reality is that really does resonate within our schools and in our children, where, as Mr. Kuba had mentioned, a lot of the time it's happening within the home. And so sometimes students or children, they feel really discouraged to speak because they're scared of the repercussions of their actions. They're scared to inform. And so I think that within the school system, I think that there has to be more time that's dedicated towards sexual education in terms of, age-appropriate sexual education, in terms of teaching children how to say no, teaching them consent, boundaries, and of course, empowering them as it relates to reporting, to speak up about the matters that are harming them. But in order for them to do that, there needs to be safe spaces that are created within our schools and in our homes. A lot of the times, children are feeling the impacts of sexual violence, but they're scared to say something to their parents. They're scared of what they might say. It may be their uncle, their father. They're scared to speak to their mother because they don't know what mom is going to say. They're fearful that their that their parents won't believe them. And so, as Mr. Cooper said, it really does call for a robust parenting intervention strategy, but also it means that there needs to be safe spaces created within our schools, amongst our teachers, our guidance counselors, where children feel as though they can safely report and confide in someone of authority to assist them in the matter, because a lot of the times they're carrying the burden alone. And if it is that they share it with someone, it's with a friend. And the friend can only provide minute emotional assistance. The real assistance that they need can only be found in those with authority. And therefore, there needs to be more safe spaces created within our schools, our guidance counselors, our teachers, and our parents. Parents need to be more willing to hear and really listen to what their children are saying, not just say that, oh, your uncle was just playing with you, or, oh, it was just a little brush, oh, you're over-exaggerating. No, parents need to be more active and robust and really listening to what their children are saying, and not just listening to what they're saying, but actioning it so that their children don't feel as though, oh, was it really just a touch or was I being groomed? Because that's just very important.
Yeah. Ladies, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it as always.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for having us.
All right. And just to remind the listeners, child abuse reports may be made through Sisoka's WhatsApp. That's 876-224-5352. Or you can call Sisoka directly at 876-926-4079. You can also call Crime Stop at 311 or the Police 119 or the nearest police station. And reminding you that the Child Care and Protection Act imposes a legal obligation to report child abuse, right? If you know that it's happening. That's the cover story. The headlines are next.
Cover Story was brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
6:01.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening with the headlines at 6. I'm Shalois Michael. There have been more than 3,000 acts of sexual assault against more than 2,000 of Jamaica's children over the last 2 years. That's according to data from the JCF's Center for Investigation of Sexual Offences and Child Abuse, Sisoka. Superintendent Carrie Bailey is head of Sisoka.
Between January 1, 2023 and May 12, 2025, 3,014 sexual offenses against 2,154 children were reported to the police. While our recent data shows a decline, with 333 cases this year compared to 527 during the same period in 2023, I must emphasize that one case is still one case too many.
She says majority of the reported cases since January fall under 3 major sexual offenses. Superintendent Bailey is calling for a joint approach to tackle sexual abuse against children.
Tragically, as highlighted by recent events, the violence against children can be fatal. 10 children have been murdered since the start of this year, including infants and teenagers. These young lives lost underscore the brutal reality some of our children face. This demands a collective response from all of us. Please be vigilant. Pay attention to the children in your communities. If you see something, say something. Your awareness, your willingness to report suspicious activity can prevent a crime and save a child's life.
Superintendent Carrie Bailey, head of Sisoka.
Child abuse reports may be made through Sisoka's WhatsApp at 876-224-5352, or you can call them directly at 876-926-4079. You may also call Crime Stop at 311, the police at 119, or visit the nearest police station. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness says the opening of the Morant Bay Urban Centre in St. Thomas is proof that his administration has never forgotten the people of the parish. Dr. Holness made the comment at Thursday's ribbon cutting for the 20-plus acre property.
The people of St. Thomas wanted to see the signs of modernity in their parish. 10 years later, I am able to stand here and say, St. Thomas, I did not forget you. St. Thomas, you are now at the cutting edge, the frontier of new developments in Jamaica.
The urban centre will see the people of St. Thomas having access to a modern courthouse, a new municipal building, tertiary education and training centres, and multiple commercial and civic services in the coming months. Dr. Holness outlined a slew of infrastructure investments his government has made in the Eastern Parish.
We have built this Morant Bay Urban Centre at a cost of $6 billion Jamaican dollars. We have built the Yalas Fire Station at a cost of $163 million Jamaican dollars. We have upgraded the Acadia and Port Morant Health Centre at a cost of $37 million Jamaican dollars. Not to mention the whole heap of social housing that we have given in the parish, and today I'll be handing over about 6 more.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness. Opposition leader Mark Golding says in most other countries, the continued non-certification of the statutory declaration of the Prime Minister would disqualify him from office. Golding made the claim while addressing party supporters at a rally in South St. James on Wednesday.
It is not a good look. It is not good for Jamaica. And most countries that would disallow him, he would no longer be eligible to run for office again in the country. The Labourites have no shame. They only want power. Anyway, they're not going to keep it because the people of Jamaica have had enough. And them say time come and they want a change. And we represent a force, a championing.
The Prime Minister's statutory declarations were last certified by the Integrity Commission in 2022. The Integrity Commission Act requires that the declarations of both the Prime Minister and opposition leader be certified and published in the National Gazette. Golding took the Prime Minister to task for his legal filings against the anti-corruption body.
It is putting the government and the country into disrepute. He has even gone so far as to try to get the Integrity Commission itself removed, undermined by judicial process, taking the matter to court. He's even trying to say that the offense for which he is being investigated, which is called illicit enrichment, where your assets exceed your disclosed income and you have failed to explain how you lawfully came upon those assets, he's trying to get that offense struck from the law books.
Mark Golding, opposition leader. It's to be noted that there's been no public communication from the Commission that the Prime Minister or any other named individual is under investigation for illicit enrichment. The mother of missing social media influencer Donnelly Donaldson disclosed that her daughter left home with her passport the last time she saw her alive. Testifying on day 3 of the Noel Maitland murder trial, Sophia Lugg confirmed that when Donnelly departed their home on July 11, 2022, she had the travel document in her possession. Lugg said she relayed that detail to Indicom investigators during the early stages of the probe for her missing daughter. The revelation came during cross-examination with lead defense attorney Christopher Townsend. Lugg clarified that Donnelly left with her passport as it was the only form of identification she had. Constable Maitland, a member of the JCF and Donnelly's boyfriend at the time, is charged with her murder and with preventing the lawful burial of a corpse. He has pleaded not guilty. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Shaloy Smichael. Sports is next.
Answer's Mother's Day sale up to 70% off. Up to 70% off the best brands for mom. Answer's Gifts at Home, Tropical Plaza, and Answer's for Children, Tropical Plaza and Sovereign Center. Answer's Mother's Day sale till May 17, 2025.
Delicious meals, poolside cocktails, right on the beach. Disconnect from your daily worries and reconnect with the one you love. There's no paradise like home. This summer, enjoy a romantic all-inclusive escape at Couples Tower Isle, Couples Sanssouci, Couples Negril, or Couples Swept Away from $295 USD per night. Take advantage of this offer today by visiting Couples Resorts at couples.com. Conditions apply.
KFC is back with the crispy barbecue zinger. So delicious, this one is a winner. Spicy with bacon, onions, cheddar, and the smoky barbecue sauce.
The crispy barbecue zinger from KFC is back. A delicious spicy zinger with bacon, cheddar cheese, crispy onions, and smoky barbecue sauce. Available for a limited time. The craving that makes everything crunch. KFC's crispy barbecue zinger. It's finger-licking good.
The crispy barbecue zinger from KFC with the smoky barbecue sauce.
Good evening with your sports report. I am Alric Swaby. We start with track and the field. Organizers of Grand Slam Track, the newest series on the global athletics calendar, have announced a few changes to the format of the league. Starting with the third stop on the 4-meet series in Philadelphia, the competition will now be held over 2 days instead of the 3 which it started out with in the inaugural meet in Kingston and the second in Miami. So the event at Frank Field Stadium, home of the Penn Relays, will now be from May 31 to June 1. In other changes, the men and women long-distance race groups will each compete in a single 300 meters, and because they only be competing in just one race, the prize pool has also been adjusted, with the winner taking home $50,000. Meanwhile, 5 challengers have so far been announced for the Philadelphia leg, including Isabella Whitaker, Josh Hoy, Hobbs Kessler, Nia Atkins, and Georgia Hunter Bell. Superstar Shelly Fraser-Pryce is promising something special when she competes in the women's 100 meters at the Wonder Diamond League meeting in Doha on Friday. She'll get strong competition from Switzerland's Munjinga Kambunje and compatriots Natasha Morrison and Tina Clayton. Fraser-Pryce says she's at a good place in training.
The last 2 years I've raced sparingly, so I really want to get back into that race sharpness. I really want to get back into some competitive races. I really just kind of know where I'm at and how training has been going. Training has been fantastic by far. This has been the best year I've had in terms of training in the last 3 years. So I'm really looking forward to see, just the execution and really, just working on putting the race together tomorrow. And I think tomorrow is going to be special, and I'm really excited about that. Excited to have that competitive drive, because again, the last 2 years I have not raced much, and even though you're doing track for such a long time, you still need to be practicing your craft, and the best way to do that is to show up in races.
She says the city of Doha holds fond memories for her.
2019 was really special for me. I would like to think of Doha as a place of, defying the odds, because I had my son in 2017. So I was coming back from having my son. I had the off year in 2018. So I had time to really get myself back, in shape and ready to go. And 2019, being able to cross that line after having my son, after turning 30, where a lot of persons think that when women turn 30, then put on top of that having a child, they kind of just put you in a box. But being able to have that moment in Doha, and not only that moment, but the moment of having my son on the track was really special. So I really look forward to, again, having a spectacular, evening tomorrow, and excited about that.
Shelly Fraser-Pryce. Meanwhile, 7 other Jamaicans are down to compete at the third stop on the Diamond League circuit. These are Frederick Dacus, Shanika Ricketts, Raymond Beckford, Raymond Richards, Rashid Broadbell, Adele Tracy, and Malik James King. Leicester Primary lead the standings with 61 points of the 6 finals at the end of day 2 of the InSport Devon Biscuit Primary School Eastern Championships at Stadium East. They are followed by Halfway Tree with 35 points, St. Patrick is third with 33, St. Richard's fourth with 23, and Harbourview round out the top 5 with 22. Meanwhile, on the boys' side, after 3 finals, License lead with 24.5 points. Windward Road is second with 20. Rosso third on 12. St. Patrick's Primary and St. Richard's are tied on 10 points each. Now to footballers at Sports Time. Defending champions Cavalier and former winners Onyx Gardens are locked at 0-0 in the Ray and Never Jamaica Premier League at the Montego Bay Sports Complex in Catherine Hall. This is the first game of a double which will have title favourites and regular season table toppers Mount Pleasant Academy facing home side Montego Bay United at 8 p.m. The teams will meet in the second leg on Sunday at Sabina Park. Barcelona won a 28th Spanish League title on Thursday after seeing off local rivals Espanyol 2-0. Star player Lamine Yamal scored a brilliant opener in the 53rd minute before laying on the assist as Fermin Lopez banged home the second with just seconds left in the game.
There's Lamine Yamal inside again. He'll finally be able to get a curling shot off and score for Barca. The big man for the big occasion, Lamine Yamal, scores once again. Lamine Yamal's got it though, and it's come to Fermin, the finishing touch on the La Liga title for Barcelona late in the derby. Fermin Lopez puts the ball into the net to double the lead. Barcelona are surely champions now, and they get their second goal in stoppage time, set up by Lamine Yamal.
It was the third time Barcelona was winning La Liga at Espanyol's RCBE Stadium. The game, though, was paused for a short time in the first half as news broke on an incident outside. A car drove into fans with 13 people injured and 4 taken to hospital, but none were said to be in serious condition. Cristiano Ronaldo has topped the Forbes list of highest paid athletes for the third consecutive year, while NBA star Steph Curry has moved up to second. The business magazine says Ronaldo, who has topped the list 5 times during his career, has increased his estimated total earnings by $15 million to $275 million. That figure has only been surpassed by former world champion boxer Floyd Mayweather, who earned $300 million in 2015 and $275 million in 2018. Portugal forward Ronaldo moved to the lucrative Saudi Pro League with Al Nassr in December 2022 and has generated greater income through off-field endorsement and sponsorship deals backed by his social media followers, which currently total 939 million. Golden State Warrior guard Curry, who became the first NBA player to reach 4,000 career three-pointers in March, climbed up to second after earning $156 million. British boxer Tyson Fury moved up to third with $146 million, despite losing his world heavyweight titles to Ukraine's Alexander Usyk in December. Fury was the beneficiary of a Netflix reality television show and a partnership with Maltese Tourism. Ronaldo's long-standing rival Lionel Messi has fallen further behind the Portuguese after dropping from third to fifth. Now, the cricketers coach of the West Indies, Darren Sammy, says the Tour of Ireland is the first step in their quest to qualify for the 2027 ICC One-Day International World Cup. The Caribbean men are set to face the host in 3 ODIs from May 21 to 25. The first match will be played at Dublin on Wednesday. Sammy says they travel to Ireland early to ensure the players get acclimatized to the weather conditions.
Our mission don't change. All we've been building from 2023 is to World Cup 2027. So we're still on the quest. The little steps that we have to take in order to make sure that we get there is against Ireland, and a team that has been very competitive over the years, especially against us. So we're not taking anything lightly in their own conditions. So it's good that we're here a couple days early to get acclimatized. And so far, I love what I see in the nets.
The regional side won 5 of their last 6 home matches, and Sammy wants them to replicate the dominance on the road.
We've made home a fortress for us in the Caribbean in the one-day format, and we are looking to get wins overseas as well. First series for 2020-25. Ireland, like I said earlier, is a team that's very competitive, especially at home, but we have the full confidence that we could come here and win the series against them.
He admits that Shafane Rutherford and Romaria Shepherd will not be available for the Ireland tour.
With the IPL going along, some of our key players in Shofane and Shepherd, with their teams in the playoff position, and they will miss the Ireland ODI series. John Campbell comes in, and the rest of the squad remains the same.
Darren Sammy. And finally, Cricket West Indies has formally written to the International Cricket Council ICC, insisting that the unique configuration of West Indies cricket be fairly accommodated in ongoing discussions with the International Olympic Committee regarding qualification for cricket at the Los Angeles 2028 Olympic Games. In its correspondence, CWI outlined two inclusive and practical qualification pathways that would enable sovereign Caribbean nations, many of which have deep Olympic legacies, to participate in Olympic cricket in accordance with the values and requirements of the Olympic Charter. Cricket West Indies' proposal comes in light of the current Olympic rules that would exclude West Indies men and women teams from Olympic participation. Given this situation, CWI is advocating for either 1. If rankings are used and West Indies men and women teams technically qualify, an internal qualification tournament among its Olympic affiliated members could be used to determine country represents the West Indies, or a global qualifying pathway that includes associate ICC members in the 5 ICC development region plus member countries of the West Indies. CWI's submission to the ICC cites the Olympic Charter bylaw to Rule 40, which mandates that qualification criteria must be fair and transparent and designed in line with the core principles of the Olympic movement. These include universal representation, equal access, and the participation of the best athletes from all regions. CWI is committed to constructive dialogue with the ICC and welcomes the opportunity to work together in shaping a qualification process that respects both the Olympic ethos and the realities of cricket in the Caribbean. I'm Alex Ribby, and that's your sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:21.
We are the best at what we do. At Hose Assembly and Supply Limited, we supply hose fittings and tools. We guarantee we can't be beaten when price and quality are combined. You brand us the Hose and Tool Boss because we deliver the most effective industrial solutions. Come in and experience the joy of shopping with Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. Call us 876-923-3936 or visit 173 Hagley Park Road, 2 Charlesworth Crescent or Montego Bay Trade Center. Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. More than just hoses. Now open every Sunday.
Outperform, outlast, with top performance, Jackhammer, reliable, full stop, not comma. We have the expertise for drilling and demolition. We have the power tools for plumbers and electrician. Fancy select tools, 3 parts and 3 repairs. 3 parts, 3 repairs. 2 to 3 years. Hilton, available at Delta Supply, 106 Hagley Park Road. Call us at 876-302-6111-4. Delta Supply, we service what we sell.
Pull back here to Liamalu, lets it run.
European Champions League history will be created on Saturday, May 31.
Marino into Saka, brilliantly done!
When nationwide 90 FM takes you live to the Allianz Arena in Germany for European club football's big night out. The Bayern Munich Stadium in Bavaria will be the staging ground for the last stand.
Lamine Yamal skips away from Mkhitaryan. Oh, that's brilliant!
The final battle to determine the best on the continent.
It is Declan Rice. Oh! Absolutely unstoppable!
The Champions League final is live on Nationwide 90 FM, Saturday, May 31, and it's brought to you courtesy of the Amber Group, pioneering innovation. And Anybet, your best bet.
Dembele has other ideas. What a chance! What a goal!
The game can also be seen live at Carib 5.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion. We invite you all to tune in and participate in today's Public Opinion. Even you YouTubers, feel free to weigh in using our live chat right here so you can participate in Public Opinion today. So, President of the Jamaica Psychiatric Association, Dr. Brian Kazara, is calling for formal legislation to address end-of-life care decisions for the elderly in Jamaica. Speaking on Nationwide at 5 on Wednesday, Dr. Kazara highlighted the shortcomings of the current informal system, which he says is not legally binding and often depends on the personal interpretation of family members and healthcare providers.
What we'd ideally want is a framework which could then make it clear as to what process should be undergone when someone wants to put forward an advanced healthcare directive. So the benefit of legislation is that it would make it very clear in a clinical scenario or other context what the process should be to determine, all right, this is exactly what the person would have wanted. And because at times what happens is it now falls onto other persons to kind of try and figure out what it would have been or could have been. And because there may have not been a system or framework in place, there's nothing for anyone to reference.
Founder and executive chair of the Caribbean Community of Retired Persons, CCRP, Jean Laurie Chin, says she intends to present documents related to a living will to the Senate Select Committee currently reviewing the proposed Elderly Care and Protection Act. According to Ms. Laurie Chin, a living will serves as an advanced healthcare directive similar to those in the United States and can guide end-of-life decisions in accordance with the individual's wishes.
That person can write down how they would like to be taken care of, how they should be treated when they're ill, should they be resuscitated. They have this thing called do not resuscitate, and even, what their final funeral plans are like. As a matter of fact, I got a copy of it. It's 4 different sheets dealing with caregiving, dealing with health, dealing with legal situation, dealing with hospital, etc. It's called a living will.
That's Jean Laurie Chin. So amid the discussion going on about the Elderly Care and Protection Act, we were having a discussion in the newsroom, and we saw it fit to ask for public opinion today. At what age do you determine someone to be elderly? So that's what we've been asking so far on social media. Now we're going to tune in to social media to see the answers we got. So yes, Instagram, we asked, at what age should someone be considered elderly? And in the comments we have 35, says Diamond Express Jewelers. If you're a woman and you get pregnant at 35, it's considered a geriatric pregnancy. All right. Milton 876 says 35. Bellcamp 34 says 70. York Rich says 31. Chrissy says 60 and over. Mind and Heart says 60. Desreen says 70. Tracy Johnson says 65. WZ says in their 60s. Debbie Shablak says 75. Evie Mitchell says 75 and over. I'm seeing 65 and over. Someone says 55. The legendary Henry says whenever the back problems begin. Siobhan Anderson says 40. Alicia 85 says 70. Hyatt Herman says 80. Samoy Frank says 75. The Life Improvement Zone says 71. Prince No Fraud says 60. Rona Briscoe says 70. As does its Lady K. Hutchinson. She also says 70. Sunam 2021 says 65. G Money 2914 says 70. Tay 2989 says 35. And the one Bossman says 70. So I think the common answer there was 70. So a lot of people saying 70. I think that was the most replies I've gotten so far. 70. But I'm seeing somebody in the YouTube chat already say 65 and over, and I agree. When we were having this discussion earlier in the newsroom, I was of the impression that I think 65 is probably the best age to say someone is elderly. I feel like 60 might be a bit too early, personally. That's just me, though. I feel like 60 is a bit too early, but I feel 65 to 75, 65 to 70 rather. Yeah, I can see that. So personally for me, 65 or 70 is my answer. But if we go over on Facebook, what says those on Facebook? At what age should someone be considered elderly? Raymond Anderson says, right now I feel elderly at the age of 34. I'm seeing somebody says 45. Shines for Life Law says, retirement age is at 65, then it should be considered elderly. All right. Michelle Bernard says, whatever age one feels as such, I'm over 60. Never refer to me as elderly. I run and skip along. Another person says that. Audrey Allen says, at any age he or she feels elderly. Cav says 80. Okay. Natalie Winter says, to tell you the truth, it depends on your health and your wealth. Maureen Bryan says 65 years old is good enough, even though some persons at that ripe age is still very strong and healthy. Lloyd says 75 years of age. Christine Donaldson says, right now, I'm 36 and I'm more L to the der to the Lee than any other age. Maureen says 70. Eunice agrees. Eunice also says 70. Cheryl Griffith says 65. For official recognition in society, CJ says 60, but in real life, 70. Arlene Kelly, Shirley Brown, JJ Mack all say 60. Skemar Brady says after 50. Edney Powell says 70. Anthony Shake says 70 to 75. Althea Smith, Shells McClure, they both say 70. Sean Major Campbell says, at my age. Shelvian Owen says 75. So we're going to check X and then we're going to go over to the YouTubers. I see them commenting and I see a couple 70s in the YouTube chat. It seems to be the most popular answer. It's pretty easy to see why. But let's check, man. What say those folks over on X? Let's have a look. So we asked the folks on X and they said, TCAM for Life says 60. Grace Davidson says 50 plus. Don O'Mealy says when they reach the age of Methuselah. Margaret Downer Messiah says when you get shaky. Romana says 40. Janiel says 65 and older. Stacy C says 75. Lady Danbury says 35. To be honest, I'm tired. And Arha Sivari says 75. Elderly. How old should somebody be before they are considered elderly? So I'm looking in the YouTube chat right now. Maureen McKenzie says 70. So does Sharon Kong. So does Stark Girls. So does Mikkel. So does Evan McDonald. I'm seeing a lot of people saying 70. Robbie Houghton says 85. Patrick Miller says 65 and over. David Nibar says 100. Okay. Dennis Barnaby says 75 years old, Mahiri. Everton Harris says 70. Political analyst. Mahiri, have you found the ocelot? No. I'm so glad you reminded me about that, though. It's still out there somewhere. Hopefully it's very safe, political analyst, but hopefully somebody finds it. Somebody in Black River. But continuing with Pub Up. Bev Thompson says 70 to 75 and up. Fair enough. Master Jam says 70. Real Island Chef Patricia says 45 because no Jamaican company hires over 45. Oh, is that so? You talking from experience? Jamaican for Life says over 65. Kemar Douglas. No, he wasn't answering. Never mind. Monique Grant says 100. Frank White says 60 and older, but in real life 85 and older. The Aki says 75 is a good age to be called elderly. 90 and up, you are old. Wow. Nadine Dockery says 70. You reach 70. So anything over 70 is considered good reason of strength. Orinthia Campbell says 65 and over. Judith Dodd says 70. Barbara Thompson and Tion Harvey say 70. Everton Harris says, I'm 54 and I feel like 25. Love that for you, Everton. Jacqueline Thomas says 70. Jeffreen Clark says 75. Earl Sanderson says 80 years. So what's the average answer we've gotten so far? I feel like 70 is the average answer we've gotten so far. I feel as though, I guess you could argue 60 as well. You think of the how do I put this? The strongest 60-year-old, you know, and you think of the strongest 70-year-old, you know. Would you consider both of them elderly or just the 70-year-old? I don't know. There's some people that are in their 60s that don't look 60s at all, you know. But I don't think it's really about how you look, you know, because different people are different. Some people got diseases when they're older, makes them look a bit weaker than another person their same age. So maybe you can't necessarily go off of looks. You really just have to go off of the age itself. I'm seeing CJ Martinez say 58. Sharon Bless says I should scroll up. Did you answer earlier, Sharon? You want to answer again? I don't think I have time to scroll up. We're almost out of time. Sharon Kong says, I'm 70 this year and I feel good. Love that for you, Sharon Kong. Happy 70th birthday when it comes. Geneva says 70. What's this? Jacqueline Thomas says, really? Jamaicans don't hire you when you are 65. Huh? That's something to do with the retirement age, Jacqueline. I am winning right now, says 65 and older. Frank White says, there are people in their 40s that look 16. Oof. 80 is elderly, says Elizabeth. Ishan Khan says, the young people are tired. Wow, man. But yeah, man, I think it's safe to say 70 has been the winning answer so far. I think it's the one I've seen the most. It depends on how you feel, Mahiri. I don't know, man. Is the concept of being elderly subjective? As a matter of fact, before we leave here, let me look up the definition, the official definition of the word elderly. And maybe we'll change some of our answers. It just says old or aging, an elderly relative. Wow. Anything else? No, man. That's all it says, man. Old or aging. So if it's aging, then that could be any age then, right? I don't know, man. But I think we'll just agree that 70 is the average answer. So that's how we're going to end Pub Up today. If you're 70, you're probably elderly. But don't take my word for it. That's public opinion, folks. And now it's time for the business report.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, industrial automation and control solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:35. Good evening. Welcome to Nationwide News' Business Report. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Sagicor Group Jamaica ended the first quarter of 2025 with net profit attributable to shareholders of $3.97 billion, a 297% increase over the $1 billion for the same period in 2024. Accordingly, earnings per share attributable to stockholders was just Jamaican 1.2 for the 3 months, compared to the prior year's 2.26 return on equity was 15%. The group says this improved performance was largely influenced by meaningful increases in insurance service results, capital gains, and net interest income, which outpaced higher operating expenditure. In line with its long-term strategy, SGJ continues to fund key investments in digital transformation, data security, and improved team member and client experiences. President and CEO of Sagicor Group Jamaica, Christopher Zaka, said, on the heels of a tough fiscal year, we remained focused on making deliberate strategic moves to sharpen our execution and strengthen our core. U.S. President Donald Trump's claim that India has offered to drop all tariffs on goods imported from his country has been swiftly disputed by Delhi. In a statement to local news agencies, India's foreign minister countered the claim, saying talks are still going on and nothing is decided till everything is. The statement is in stark contrast to comments by Trump to reporters earlier in the day when he declared Delhi had offered them a deal which basically they are willing to literally charge us no tariff. India and the US are currently in talks to negotiate a trade agreement. And finally, in the currency markets, it cost 159 Jamaican dollars and 63 cents to buy $1 US. It costs 212 Jamaican dollars and 15 cents to buy $1 British pound. And it costs 113 Jamaican dollars and 67 cents to buy $1 Canadian dollar. That's the business report. I'm Mahiri Stewart. Good evening.
It's only 5 days. 5 days of drive-away deals with ultra-low prices on a new Mazda. Up to $2 million off or top-of-the-line Mazda. Enjoy the super comfortable CX-30 or CX-60. Step up to the new family 3-row Mazda
CX90. Level up to Executive Motors now and steer into incredible savings up to $2 million off. Don't miss out. 5 days only. Visit us now at 8 Moresco Road, Kingston, or call 92 Mazda. Find us online at MazdaJA.com. Conditions apply.
The Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining presents National Minerals Week from May 25 to 30, 2025 under the theme Minerals for National Development. Activities include a church service, bauxite land titling conference, technical conference on limestone, investor forum, and a bauxite industry session. Notably, the technical conference and investor forum will be held on May 28 and 29 respectively at the Jamaica Conference Center. For more details, visit www.moa.gov.jm or follow at MOAFJM on IG.
The Excelsior Community College 5K Run Walk is set to take place on Saturday, May 24, 2025 at 7 a.m. starting at the main campus, 137 Mountain View Avenue. This event is part of our 50th anniversary legacy project, and proceeds are in aid of providing financial assistance for students in need. Run with purpose, walk for change. Every step you take helps pave the way for a student's future. Register now by visiting our website www.ecc.edu.jm. Excelsior Community College, 50 years strong and still moving forward.
I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Marlon Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we're all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads podcast. It's a revolution in media.
It's Monday, get over your blues. Or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The E-Zone is here for you. With this thing at Honeybee.
And Curry Boyatings
from 3 to 5 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM.
We've got your entertainment news.
Then we want to hear your views. Why you said?
Jump in the mix.
Or the hot seat.
Don't miss our brain busters.
Or the crazy giveaways.
Let's talk fashion.
Send us your outfit of the day. Ooh, cutesy. Very demure.
Are you looking for love?
Really try. Come on one of our blind dates. Send your request to ezoneblindates@gmail.com. That's ezoneblindates@gmail.com.
And stay tuned for your confessions.
These are my confessions.
Share them with us at ezoneconfessions@yahoo.com. I mean, is this planet Earth?
Is it?
I don't know. Let me check. Either way, it's got a buzz.
And a bugger thing.
Ow! Ow!
This Child's Month, the Design Studio is calling all young creatives and proud parents. It's the Kids Room Redo Contest, a 4-week celebration of creativity and color. Whether your child decorated their own space or you created a magical room just for them, we want to see it. Share photos, win prizes, and get featured on our show. Tune in every week this May to the Design Studio with Karen Booker from 1 to 3 p.m. for fun, inspiration, and winners. Enter now by sending your pics via WhatsApp to 876-280-6629. Let's make Child's Month bold, bright, and beautiful.
Good evening to you. Thank you so much for staying with us here on Nationwide at 5. It's time for the nation's business. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And my name is Sanjay Lewis. A special audit has raised serious concerns about the distribution of millions of dollars in fertilizer by the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, RADA, and whether it reached the farmers it was meant to help. The performance audit was tabled in the House of Representatives on Tuesday. Shalai Michael tells us more.
The audit covered the years 2019 to 2023. It revealed that over 11,000 bags of fertilizer, valued at $54 million, were allocated directly to members of parliament for distribution to farmers. The fertilizer was a gift under a bilateral agreement with the Kingdom of Morocco. However, Auditor General Pamela Monroe Ellis says RADA failed to provide any evidence that the fertilizer reached the intended recipients. It says despite repeated requests, members of parliament did not submit distribution sheets, leaving RADA unable to verify whether legitimate farmers benefited from the program. Making matters worse, the report says agricultural extension officers who are responsible for assessing farmers' needs were left out of the process. The audit also found that 3,800 bags of fertilizer, or just over 5% of the 72,000 received, were deemed unusable and discarded. However, these losses were not properly recorded, highlighting a major gap in RADA's inventory management system. In response, RADA said that it has long collaborated with MPs to distribute inputs to farmers. The permanent secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture said he had no involvement or knowledge of instructions regarding MP allocations. The report also flagged serious issues with warehouse operations. Only one officer was managing inventory due to what was described as poor working conditions. The report says this officer was solely responsible for managing, securing, adjusting, and writing off inventory. This is considered a breach of proper financial controls. The Ministry of Agriculture's internal audit had previously raised similar concerns as far back as 2019. But the report says the problems persisted even after 2 additional shipments of fertilizer arrived in 2022 and 2023. It says to date, some inventory figures, like an alleged 800 bags stored at a specific warehouse, could not be verified by RADA's own records. The report concludes by warning that without urgent reforms to improve crop planning, inventory tracking, and adherence to public financial rules, both RADA and the Ministry of Agriculture risk financial accountability penalties, including surcharge. Shaloy Smichael for Nationwide News.
Thanks, Shaloy. With us now, RADA's acting CEO, Garnet Edmondson. He's scheduled to join us. We're trying to make contact with him. It'll be interesting, Sanjay, to hear from RADA because they're pushing back against these claims. They're saying that the fertilizer was not part of the regular production incentive program and was instead a diplomatic gift, meaning no procurement was done for it. And I just want to understand. Okay, we have him now. Mr. Edmondson?
Yes.
Hi, good evening.
Evening.
Yes, Garnet Edmondson is RADA's acting CEO. Thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Edmondson, we understand that RADA is pushing back based on your statement today. You say it was not part of regular productive incentive program and was instead a diplomatic gift. And why does that mean that the Auditor General then is off base?
Well, I wouldn't say that they are off base, but the fertilizer would not fall under what we call a PIP program, our production incentive program, deals directly with goods and material purchased by the Jamaican government. And this fertilizer did not go through a procurement system. As we would say, it was a gift. I want to make it very clear and rather respect and fully support the oversight role of the Auditor General. However, our clarification is not a rejection of oversight, no, but rather to correct the context, right? Mm-hmm. And as I said before, the fertilizer in question was not a part of our production incentive program.
But was a gift.
It was a gift from the
Kingdom of Morocco. So let me understand.
Right.
So let me understand something, Mr. Edmondson, because the Auditor General says there's no clear evidence that the fertilizer ever reached farmers, whether it was a gift or directly procured. Wouldn't that be a challenge, though, that you don't have any paperwork to say that the intended recipients did actually get it?
And again, let me just clarify. While I would not want to go as far as say that we do not have clear paperwork, because at the time of the audit, based on the route that we chose to proceed with distribution, and further in the interview, I'll explain why we chose that method. We since then collected at least 80% of those distribution lists from MP. We'd have been making application to the MP for them to send in those lists over time. And of course, with competing prices, we must say also we should have engaged in further follow-up. But since having active participation of recently from our monitoring and evaluation team, which we have now built out and continue to build out our monitoring and evaluation team, we have seen where that has bear some fruit, where we are now up to 80% of those lists in hand, and we are ready to furnish those.
So at the time the Auditor General was conducting the audit, you did not have those lists?
We didn't have all the lists. We had some. Because, again, a part of the report that I'm surprised that did not give was that some parishes that...
No, Mr. Edmondson, you're breaking up.
You're breaking up.
have removed.
Mr. Edmondson?
Yes.
No, let's try to fix the line. We're talking to the acting CEO of RADA, Mr. Edmondson. We're going to take a break and come back with more.
Suzuki, I give you deals on deals. So here's the deal. Purchase a Suzuki XL7 Jimny 5-door. Bronx or Grand Vitara from as low as $4.89 million. And enjoy huge savings of up to $500,000 off on select models. Plus 5 years warranty, free vehicle tracking, and 2 years free scheduled servicing. No, that's a deal. Offer valid at Stewart's Automotive Group, Southgate Road, Kingston, and Iron Trauma Bay. Stop by for a test drive. Follow Suzuki Jamaica for more details. Conditions apply. Suzuki, I give you deals on deals.
Ring-a-ling-a-ling, school bell a ring.
The nationwide 90 FM Schoolyard Tour 2025 is taking the vibes island-wide, straight to your schoolyard.
Some say pull up your pants and put it on your waist.
Tune in to the E-Zone from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. on May 16 as we broadcast from the Montego Bay Community College. It's all about empowering minds and igniting the fun. Expect live entertainment, games, and big surprises as we bring the nationwide 90 FM energy to every stop. And you know we have a stream it live on our YouTube channel at Nationwide 90 FM Live 2. So tune in to the E-Zone May 16 from 1 to 4 p.m. It's the Schoolyard Tour at Montego Bay Community College. Catch the live stream on Nationwide's YouTube channel at Nationwide 90 FM Live 2. Keep your station locked to Nationwide 90 FM for more details. All this and more only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. The Schoolyard Tour is brought to you by the Students' Loan Bureau, KFC, Tip Friendly Society, National Council on Drug Abuse, ATL Automotive, West Tech Limited, and Fairview Medical and Dental Center.
Back with you on Nationwide at 5. It's the nation's business, and we have with us the acting CEO of RADA. Sanjay?
Yes. Mr. Edmondson, you're still with us?
Yes, I'm still here.
Right. So I want to go back to that 2019 audit, that internal audit that was done by the Ministry of Agriculture. They found similar issues with the program. From 2019 until when the Auditor General did her investigation, what changes did RADA put in place?
All right. So some of the changes that we put in place, one, we would have started to build out our inventory control systems, right? It is not usual for RADA to hold large amounts of inventory. So we'd have started building that out. We'd have employed the necessary persons to put in place for events like these. Also, what we have done is to ensure that our monitoring and evaluation department is also built out. We have also looked at our documentation. As you know, we are ISO certified. So we have looked at our documentation, see where the weaknesses are, and we have put in those gaps, fill those gaps to make sure that no such thing happen again. Also, what we have done is to create a digital platform for beneficiaries. So you're applying for any kind of grant or inputs from RADA. It goes through that digital platform. And furthermore, we are moving now where we will put in place another platform. So say you apply to us for anything. You can go on, put in your farmer's ID and your password, all the credentials, and it will show you track to where your application is. It can show you historical data as to any benefits that you have received over time. And we find when we add these digital tools, it will help us not only in accountability but in transparency, and also to use data to drive agriculture production. So these are some of the steps that we would have put in place and continue to put in place to ensure the transparency and accountability.
And if you have implemented all of that, how is it then that, based on the Auditor General's report, you guys have been unable to verify that, as the Auditor General indicated, millions of dollars worth of fertilizers can't be accounted for? So what went wrong?
Okay, well, remember, you asked me what have we done since then, and I've told you.
And it sounds to me, based on what you have indicated, that you have put a robust system in place. So based on your assessment with that system that you have implemented, how then could the Auditor General indicated that they can't verify that the fertilizers distributed actually reach the intended farmers?
Mm-hmm. So here's how I can view the Auditor General speculation on the matter. We would have collaborated with MPs, and of course, to save the authority millions of dollars in transportation costs, we chose to have the MPs pick up these fertilizers at our distribution point. And of course, we moved away from our normal protocol where the names would have handed in and actually do the reverse. So over time, it may took us some time to have collected those distribution sheets. And as such, when the audit was done, some of these distribution sheets was not present for the auditors to verify. And this is where this argument about missing fertilizer. But I want to say to you, if you investigate and look at the production data during those years, 19, 20, 21, 22, you'll see where production would have increased even in severe drought. Why? Because the fertilizer would have reached the intended source. And I don't think the auditor looked at that part of our records to show that year over year would have had
an increase in production. So let me ask. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Right. So I was going to say, so if you are getting the forms retroactively, how are you verifying that the information is actually accurate?
Well, our production records can match back to those farmers. Because remember now, we do collect data from our field officers.
So you're assuming that because there's been an increase in production, then that necessarily means it's because they got the fertilizer?
It's not an assumption. As agriculturists, we know we track 5 years, 10 years data. We track farm production levels. We track their performances. And we'd have known the inputs that have gone into various farms. So, of course, we would have easily extrapolate from that. That the fertilizer is a part of what helped to increase those production during that time.
Right. So the individuals who would help to feed that information would be the extension officers from RADA, correct?
Yes.
But in the report, it was noted that RADA's extension officers were not involved in assessing the farmers' needs during the distribution. Why?
Repeat that question for me, please.
In the report, it was noted that RADA's extension officers were not involved in assessing the farmers' needs during the distribution process. So I'm saying, if they are the ones that feed you or your organization with the information, why wouldn't they be included in assessing the needs of the farmers to help with the distribution?
Well, of course, I can't verify the report in saying that the farmers' needs were not assessed by the full cadre of our extension officers.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
Right. No.
All right. So it is simple. We recognize that the report is saying that we should have had our officers, or usually our officers would assess needs, and then based on needs, we distribute, right? But recognize now, our member of parliament, they do have direct contact with farmers.
Yes.
Many a times, the member of parliament would suggest to us there's few farmers in communities and they're not registered.
Right.
We would go out and verify. So, of course, they are first point of contact. And we are distributing fertilizers, and based on what the report is saying that we did not. It is far from that. Of course, a majority of our officers went out and assessed needs, right? But again, as I said, the distribution method that we use, I will admit, was not tightened enough as we normally do. So, of course, we went behind the distribution to monitor what is happening out there when we should have already pulled from existing data to say the need is there and where needs are. So, yes.
All right, hold on. No, but I'm trying to understand because I'm a little bit confused. So you're saying that the extension officers, they did the assessment, that was submitted to RADA, but RADA decided to use another method to assess the farmers and do the distribution?
No, I'm sorry if I confuse you. I mentioned two things. So one, I mentioned the method of distribution. So we'd have the MPA pick up at our distribution point. Reason? To save on transportation costs. Normally, what we'd have done is to have our extension officers go out and verify needs, right? We're saying that a portion of this was done, but not fulsome. And we recognize that that was a fault in our system where we should follow our usual protocol. And this is
No, but the Auditor General didn't say that, though. She said that they were not involved in assessing the farmers' needs. She didn't say that some were involved, or rather utilized to some extent the assessment distribution form that would have been submitted. So is it that you're saying that the Auditor General got it wrong when she indicated that the extension officers were not involved in assessing the farmers' needs?
And I'm saying that the Auditor General is not totally correct. There are some areas that, yes, we fell short, but there are other areas that we did assess the farmers' needs. Just as though we are saying that there are some parishes, some zones, that there were distribution sheets present at the time of the audit, but it was not mentioned in the audit. It's the same thing.
So let me ask, the fertilizer distributed, all 63 members of parliament were allocated equally?
No.
How did you determine the allocation?
All right, of course, we recognize, and I think it's public knowledge, that there are some parishes that produce higher than other parishes.
St. Elizabeth,
and
for example.
Crops that are specific. Crops that are specific to particular areas in Jamaica. So, of course, at St. Catherine or Clarendon, that does a large amount of vegetable, you'd want to look at how you distribute fertilizer to them as opposed to an over, right? And that is another way that we look at distributing the fertilizers. You also look at the soil type, compared to the type of fertilizer you are distributing. So, one of the things is that we try to be very smart about how we care for the environment. So we are not going to distribute a high nitrogen fertilizer in an area when we know that that area is already having a high nitrogen content. You will only cause fixation in the soil. So, of course, that is also another way that we look at how we distribute the fertilizers. So it's not about a member of parliament or a preferential way of distributing. We use scientific method, agricultural scientific method, to do our distribution, and also production and productivity, in different areas.
Can you say to the Jamaican people this evening that none of the fertilizer was either used and distributed in a politically partisan manner or was sold improperly?
Let me just say this to the Jamaican people. For 35 years, I think we celebrate our 35th anniversary this year, RADA has boasted a spotless record. We have been transparent, we have been accountable, and of course, we stand ready to say that there was errors on our part in the distribution of this fertilizer. But based on our findings and our own internal audit, we can clearly say our checks and balance are in place to equate to the fact that all fertilizers were distributed to farmers and used for farming purposes only.
Are you aware of allegations?
But how?
Are you aware?
Well, let me just follow up, Ricardo, and you go to that. If the members of parliament did not submit the distribution sheet detailing the recipients of those fertilizers, how can you confidently state that it reached the intended farmers?
You remember earlier, I spoke to you about our measure of production and productivity over the years when the fertilizers were distributed. And I would have.
So in this particular case, that's what they're using to measure?
That's one of the methods that we are using to measure, right? And also our evaluation department, our monitoring and evaluation department would have used tools to go behind the distribution to measure and see where the fertilizers have gone to. And based on the data that we have collected, the distribution sheet, it match up with our production records to show where and proof that the fertilizers went to farmers.
Mm-hmm. Are you aware of allegations that some of the fertilizer ended up in shops and stores?
I heard about a farm store, not shops and stores.
Oh, a farm store. Have you investigated the allegation?
Well, the matter was passed on to our PS, and then he passed it down to our national board for investigation. Of course, the board would have started their investigation, and I would have spoken to our board chair, and he's making it clear that if there was evidence that any staff member within RADA implicated in this allegation, there would be clear sanctions. Now, with that said, we have not proved to find any evidence that any of our members of staff was involved in sale of fertilizers or gift to a farm store.
Mm-hmm. But have you been able to establish that the fertilizer did get into a farm store?
No, there's no evidence that we looked at that. There's nothing that we looked at that would say the fertilizer went to a farm store.
Did anyone from your team actually visited the farm store? Because you said it's one, to do any checks?
Based on what I'm told, yes, there was checks done, and the allegation could not be verified.
When was this investigation done?
I'm trying to remember looking at the document, because I know you'd have understand that I took on this role early. So some of the information, I'll have to go back to documentation to look at when those investigation was done. Don't hold me to that, but I can supply your news team with the information later. But yes, it was clearly done.
And the farm store that was visited, in what parish is it located?
I think that was in Clarendon. Clarendon or St. Catherine, one of those parishes, yeah.
Clarendon or St. Catherine?
Clarendon, I think it was Clarendon.
Clarendon. And you say when they went there, there was no evidence that the fertilizer was there?
No evidence, yes.
Okay. Going forward, how does RADA tighten up the controls?
All right. As I said before, going forward, we have started beefing up our monitoring and evaluation team. We have put in some digital tools that will help us to track inputs in real time. We have also introduced certain initiatives. One of our newest initiatives that we have introduced is the RADA Connect. And what that aims to do is to bring the services directly to the farmers. And while we are bringing the services direct to the farmers, we are collecting data. So in very short order, we will cover the entire Jamaica and have full data on all our farms and farmers that operate in our system. just recently we launched a program in St. Elizabeth in Flagaman, and we had over 100 farmers, new farmers, register into our system. A part of what we will be doing also, we are bringing on stream an application that will monitor crop production. So it is really a monitoring and an executive tool that deals with monitoring and marketing, where myself and other officers, principal officers, will be able to monitor aspects of production, distribution, you name it, in real time. And this is attributed to our build-out of our ICT department, our auditing department, and our monitoring and evaluation department. Because, of course, after 35 years, we have to take our reputation very seriously. And with what is happening in the public space, we want to make sure that the trust that the Jamaican farmers and stakeholders have in RADA, it remains intact. And we want to say to the Jamaican public that we are doing everything humanly possible to make sure that this type of allegation will never happen again. We will, and we make it a professional promise, if there's such a thing, a professional promise to say that we will be tightening our system. We have started, and we are going through the reforms of those systems, and at the end, we should have a robust monitoring and evaluation system that will stand up to any scrutiny.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Edmondson, just a final one. When your officers visited this farm store in Clarendon, do you recall which constituency it was?
No, I'm not. I'm not remembering right now.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for your time. Garnet Edmondson is the acting CEO of the Rural Agricultural Development Authority. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you.
All the best.
15 minutes after 7, we're going to take your calls now, 630-9371-4, 618-8255.
Whether you buy it, build it, or improve it, it's time to home it with the National Housing Trust. Join us as we follow the journey of one couple and their friends towards a more secure future for their families. Home It is brought to you by the NHT, the key to your home.
Shanice! I blow, she want to blow you up in here. Left hand pressure cooker and gone, but her belly like she don't know she knows.
Is what happened?
Your left hand, the pressure cooker.
Boy, me drop asleep. It's 3 office to clean last night, you know, and supervisor missing again. Me put on the pressure cooker and just lie down little. Me not even know when my eye close.
You're lucky you have me as living babysitter, messenger when landlord come, and no fire chief.
It worked both ways, you know, Ronica. You have space to run your little hairdressing hustle even if it's small, right? And Akeem don't ask if you nothing more than a little extra light and water. Yet still, when you see where I try buy house, it would nice if my living sister-in-law did try help, even if it's a little something towards the deposit.
You know, I'm just a try with the little hairdressing business. And so tell me something. How a taxi man like my brother can't afford to buy a house from NHD?
Excuse you? After it's not just your brother alone buy it, my money in it too. And we're not buying no house from NHD. We're getting a loan from NHD to buy a house that we want and can afford. And I am the co-applicant.
Co-applicant? What that mean?
It mean that 2 people join up for buy the house. So if one person come up short for qualify for the loan, then the other person will make it up.
Well, uno a husband and wife.
You don't have to be a couple to join up, miss. Brother and sister can join up. The NHT ladies say mother and daughter, even friend, can join up sometimes. As long as the two of them pay on the NHT, that way you can get up to 15 million.
15 million?
And if it's 3 family members joining, them can get up to 21 million. But you must get all of that, You have to prove that you can pay it back. But 3 better than 1.
Me coulda never tell me.
Don't bother come with that. And today, Akeem, I tell you if you sort out yourself and register as a taxpayer so you can pay NHT.
Never take him serious because him always want to run my life.
Ranika, owning a home is not an overnight rare. You have to know how to plan your future. Let me show you something. 1 year after you start pay NHT as a self-employed, you can apply for a loan. How long you there with we?
Before COVID.
4 years. You could be on your way to being a homeowner.
That not fair. Uno should have made me know on that plan for a long time. Then more than listen to Akeem. Unfair. I need a air fryer. Both here use pressure.
Shanice! Genuine a leave.
You going so soon?
Yeah, I have an early move on,
Anyway, I'm glad to hear the good news that you is now a genuine NHT contributor.
Really, Shanice?
Oh boy, I just sorry I never start long time. I could have get a, what I call again, Akeem?
You mean the contribution refund towards deposit?
Yeah, that. But like when I just start, I guess start take a little time to build up anything that makes sense. But better late than never.
That's for sure. It really not suit you for lele like certain people we know, right, Akeem?
This sound like a good time for me to take on myself. Little more.
If you are self-employed, start your home ownership journey by becoming a registered taxpayer, which will include making quarterly contributions to the NHT. Visit nht.gov.jm to find out more. Yes, you can home it with NHT and get the key to your home.
Multi-link, access every time, everywhere I go. Multi-link, 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use multi-link. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere. Spend while supporting the economy.
Look for the Multilink logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network.
Multi-link, 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my Multilink?
Celebrate mom with the Jamaica Observer's 4 Moms Mother's Day promotion. Win big for mom with a $50,000 cash prize, appliances, gift certificates, movie passes, and more. Just spend $6,000 or more with your Multilink card. Grab the Daily Observer, complete the entry form, and submit it with your receipt. 4 lucky moms will win. Enter by May 16th and make this Mother's Day unforgettable. See the Jamaica Observer for more details. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming, and Lotteries Act.
Welcome back to Nationwide at 5, and we're turning our attention to the latest with Sean Diddy Combs. And lawyers for Sean Diddy Combs questioned R&B singer Cassie about her nearly 11-year-old relationship with him. They had her read out loud from the jury many sexually explicit messages that she and Combs shared years ago. His attorney confronted Cassie with dozens of text messages that she exchanged with Combs before they agreed to engage in a freak-off at the Los Angeles hotel on March 2016. Combs was caught on recording kicking and dragging her by an elevator bank on that occasion. The lawyer noted that in several of the cases, Cassie spoke using sexually explicit language. The lawyer suggested that the text that Cassie encouraged the sexual meeting with an escort. And Cassie has testified that she could tell by the words Combs used in his text that he wanted a freak off, such as when he asked her about her plans, as he could make his plans that night. Well, to hear more, we have this report from ABC News.
Cassie Ventura is back on the stand in the Sean Diddy Combs trial, facing questions from the defense. Right now, they're asking Cassie about messages surrounding her involvement in so-called freak-offs. In one 2009 message, Cassie wrote to Diddy, "When we used to freak off, when we were so in love, there were no questions asked. It felt right, like it literally made sense for the next step in our sex life together. I get nervous that I'm just becoming the girlfriend that you get your fantasies off with, and that's it. I don't get the other part." And the defense showed another message from 2009 where she told Diddy, quote, "I'm always ready to freak off." During her first 2 days on the stand, Cassie testified Diddy frequently beat her, threatened her, coerced her to have sex with strangers on camera, and made her plan the freak-off events. Combs has pleaded not guilty to all charges, and now the defense is trying to paint the picture of a complicated but consensual relationship. ABC's Rena Roy and ABC News legal contributor Bernardo Villalona are at the courthouse. Rena, what's the latest from court?
Well, Diane, I can tell you that jurors are seeing some very explicit text messages that are just too graphic to share on air here. But essentially what the defense is trying to show is that Cassie Ventura not only wanted to participate in these freak-offs, but that she enjoyed them in the beginning. In one text, as you mentioned, she said, "I'm always ready to freak off." They're also trying to show that as time went on, her reluctance to participate was only because she wanted more from the relationship. You read that text message that was also presented from the defense from 2009. Ventura wrote, "I get nervous that I'm just becoming the girlfriend that you get your fantasies off with, and that's it. I don't get the other part." So this is them just trying to take the guilt off of Combs and putting it on Ventura instead, and her insecurities about the relationship. Diane.
And Bernardo, the defense is showing these new messages to try to paint Cassie as a consensual partner in these freak-offs. Now, the prosecution had to know about these messages, right? So why not bring them up while they were questioning her?
Absolutely, Diane, because you have to think it is the prosecution that turned over these messages to the defense in discovery. So obviously the prosecution was well aware of these messages and what the context of these messages. So in terms of why the prosecutor wouldn't have brought that out during the direct examination, they must have a plan. They must have a plan because they also didn't mention this during opening statements. So this may backfire on them. I am concerned for the prosecution. But then again, we have hours and hours of cross-examination to still endeavor. So, Diane.
And Bernardo, we're also getting an update from court now where they're reading more text messages where Cassie and Diddy are talking about how they often made love after these freak-offs. How is the prosecution, you think, going to handle all of this on redirect?
Well, the prosecution is definitely going to focus on the timeline. So remember, this is an 11-year relationship. So while things may have been good in the beginning, that is different in the sense of how this relationship actually progressed. So the prosecution is going to continue and they're going to look at this timeline and redirect her back to that state of mind where she was actually being coerced by Sean Combs.
Rena, what are you watching for next?
Well, look, Diane, we're likely going to see much more of the same throughout today and possibly even tomorrow. This same line of questioning that we are seeing from the defense, because this is really getting to the heart of their argument when it comes to coercion here. They are going to keep poking holes, trying to poke holes in Ventura's testimony here, and try to show that she was an eager sexual partner who matched Combs's desires. So we're going to be seeing similar line of questioning throughout the rest of the day.
All right, Rena Roy, Bernardo Villalona, thank you.
That trial, of course, all the talk in New York. Money, sex, power. Yeah?
Yep.
I think it's day 3 or 4 of that trial. Still a ways to go. Now we're going to take
lots more to be revealed.
Yeah, we're going to take your calls now. I think Carl is on the line. Carl, good evening.
Evening, Ricardo. Evening, Sanjay.
Evening, Carl. How you do?
Seems like you know answer me, man. What me do you know?
No, man, you're not. You're not hearing me. I said good evening. How you do?
All right. Well, yeah, man, me doing well, man.
Good.
Where me must start now? Let me stop on. Oh, make we take Mr. McGregor first. McGregor was in East Kingston at the Rockford police station, supposed to be our detective. He must be here roughly about 3.5 years. And that police station was in a so much mess that not even bathroom was there. And McGregor, the time of the McGregor party was in power. And he couldn't do nothing about it. He couldn't ask for no fix up out there. But now that he get another post, he might tell the government saying to invest more. McGregor, just want to remind you, there was nothing in a year time, in a year party time, to do nothing. It was going at that time to pay Tapanaris. Always remember that, McGregor. And where you gone now to say you're going to run, please remember all of what used to happen when you was detective at Rockport Police Station. Nothing will hide coming up this election. Nothing. Everything will be out the door. Anyhow, I heard the British white man say this evening that we Labour right should be ashamed to want to put Andrew Holness as a Prime Minister again. No, British citizens, you are so wrong. What we are ashamed of, British citizens, British white man, is that we know, say, after PJ Patterson, tell we say, if him come down off our platform, nobody will recognize him. And we must not vote for a white man to lead our country. And now the same thing are doing now. Anyhow, what you should do, British citizens, the Jamaica people already make up their mind that third term is on. Don't care what you want to say. All what that foolish is with the Integrity Commission, where them did a try to help, that finish and done with. Because if corruption couldn't stop a government from winning election, PMP couldn't win 3 terms in Jamaica, because Audley Shaw used to break one every week. And if you look, British citizen, we doesn't have a chaka Prime Minister. Anywhere you go, everybody want to run to go hug him up. From the 2-year-old right to the 96-year-old. I know how to put himself together. That helped to sell a Prime Minister, chaka. We don't have a chaka Prime Minister. And you should look at that. Look what my minister did since week. The government, because the debt come down, British citizen, we can give pension a twice an increase in the 9 years since we are there. But couldn't do in 18 years. Because all of the money the time they did I go to go pay Tapanaris. So we don't want no more Tapanaris in our country. We want somebody who can go open what St. Thomas today. And them the type of person we want to lead our country. We don't want no British white man here.
Thank you, Carl. Fox, good evening.
Good evening, my Erie.
Ricardo.
Ricardo. What's your next source again?
Sanjay.
Yes. Good evening.
Good evening, Fox.
Yes. Today, when I was listening to Nationwide, my favorite station, and I was listening to Nora Gay, Auntie Nora, Friday in the morning, and she put us on the edge, say great things is about to happen in St. Thomas today. Let me tell you something, my brethren. Me say me feel like me dead there. Me tell Cliff say me dust out my pants, but me they have had a engagement that we got to. You let me tell you, my brethren. Me want to tell me and Mark Golding and say the Labour right them. I tell me say me should have shame I'm a Prime Minister. Mark Golding grow the country. Him and the outdated relics them from 89 Hope Road. Tell the people them say Andrew a thief, I'm a liar. Or him have 28 bank account. Tell them to go a St. Thomas. And when they reach a St. Thomas, they see where 28 bank account do. Tell them to go a Mobile. That's where 28 bank account do. Tell them to go to 3 mile Kansas Spring Road. Tell them the brethren a one broker do that. The doctor, the most honorable Andrew Holness. Ricardo, yes, remember me tell you, we are work the ground and we are make sure we secure a third term. See the Jamaica Labour Party, because here where Margaret said today on stage, greater things. If we stop at St. Thomas, if we go to Portland, and if we go to St. Mary, and if we come right back in a St. Andrew. Great things are ahead for the Jamaican people, and I am calling upon all the business people, Ricardo. This evening, the business people of Jamaica, you are now safe. You are now checking. You're not checking no more. You no extortionist. I want no business of a lockdown before time because of what we used to over the years. We got a prime minister who bring down the crime rate almost 50%. And we got a commissioner of police that we believe in. A year a little man say him represent police force and he want the police them to go get their overtime money and get uniform money. Tell that little man, you know, want to call in here because it's relevant. Student time done and pass long time. We have Harley McBean who speak to the police, the Jamaica County Force. We don't need no PNP to come to them attack for the police. Ricardo, this evening, water drop out of me here when we look and say what the Prime Minister have done for this country for 18 and a half years, and near some of them are talking about 9 years. Eh? Me brethren, want to take care and we talk again, you know, me brethren.
All right, Fox.
All right, Fox.
Thank you for the call.
All right.
Alric, good evening.
Good evening, Ricardo. Is Sanjay your co-host?
Yes.
Yes. Hi, Alric.
Yeah. Ricardo.
Yes, sir.
How you make Nora come at St. Thomas today and have to ask people to carry mango for tea? You know, you hear me tell Nora if you carry some mango and send my half dozen come.
Carry mango for who?
Nora.
She asked me if you carry mango for her?
Me tell her if you ask you, because Nora there St. Thomas and I tell people to carry the mango come, and when me ask her where you there, because you say you're a St. Thomas man. Nora say you're going like you live above you, you know, pass above you.
Look, you know, this morning when she was going out there, she had a conversation. So she's telling me, congratulations, because I finally get KFC. So I made the point to her that I've always had access to KFC. She gonna tell me, say, Morant be a finally get a KFC. You know, if I'm Morant be there for much by me live. But so Nora continues. No. What I have praised. What I have praised is the Paul Bogle Highway, which runs past where I live to go out all the way out to Portland.
Oh, you must make it specific, man.
You must make Nora distract you with propaganda. Nora is a propagandist.
All right, you understand, you know, Ricardo, you always follow Trump. And
not so much recently, I have to admit, but go ahead.
Why you drop him?
Well, I mean, never really pick him up, but not my circus, not my clowns. But
yeah, what do you think about what he's gone down to the Middle East to do? Meeting people with the United States government have never met for 25 years and trying to broker deals all over the Middle East. You think that will be beneficial to the rest of the world? Because anything happen in America touch us, you know, we suffer from it.
Yeah, hard to say. There is a school of thought that says, you know, you shouldn't engage with dictators, and I believe the current Syrian leader was a former jihadist, and so there are questions as to whether the American president should be meeting somebody like that. But then there's another school of thought that says engagement, direct engagement, is always better than isolationism and, you know, just taking a hardline approach from a distance. Trump seems to believe that, you know, direct engagement is what's going to win the day. But as I say, I haven't been following him very closely.
Sanjay and Ricardo, there's no direct engagement with Cuba.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
I respond to that because Trump is looking at where he can get benefit, and right now he doesn't see Cuba as somewhere that, you know, can benefit the United States. That's his style, and I mean, as Ricardo indicated, he may very well be onto something. So we'll just have to see over time if it benefits the United States more than how it hurts them.
Alric?
Countries like Jamaica and the other Caribbean islands and some African nations, and he's trying to say that Cuba is using their doctors and their nurses and their health people as it's not slave. What's the right word? What did he say, Sanjay? He's exploiting.
Forced labor.
Yeah, but again, Alric, we have to look at where is it that the president is trying to take the country, and he's of the belief that these countries there's benefit. There are benefits from all the different countries that he mentioned. He doesn't see any benefit, helping Cuba.
Yes, but Cuba helps a lot of us. So
of course,
because he's trying to beat them down and to say all and give them a golden handshake then down and say continue to do what you're doing and think and don't try to force down to the people that Cuba, the countries that Cuba are helping, that you have to do this and you have to do that and stop taking it from Cuba and all them things there.
All right,
the matter of Cuba, I mean, is something that we have been discussing for a very long time, and I think that Barack Obama was the closest to some light of hope. Yeah, but that's gone now. Yeah.
William.
Good evening, Ricardo. Good evening, Sanjay.
Good evening, William.
Hi, William. Good evening.
Good evening. Yeah, I try to wrap my mind around a little thing here from the Minister of Labor and Social Security pertaining to the pensioner, to the announcement of the increase. And if I listen clearly and correct on the same station here, what he give us a breakdown on 2 levels. We should have 3 different levels. You have the full pension, 3/4, and half, what we know of. But he give us a breakdown. He said, who getting 4,200 will get in 4,006. Who get 3,500, this is per week, Who get 3,500 will get 3,800. I don't know if you can make sure so me correct with that. But based upon what me get when I work out, I may have a friend also, 2 of us getting 2 different levels. And none of us now fall in that breakdown what he give us. So I really have a little difficulty with it, with the figure what him give. I don't know if whosoever passed this information to him what they were doing, but something not correct there. Because I can tell you, when you add, when him tell us the 4.2 to 4.6.
4,620.
Right.
The 4.2 moving to 4,620. The 3.5 moving to 3,850, and the 3,000 moving to 3,300 per week.
So in the 2 figure, me tell you when I heard him. When we check my one and check my brethren one, that is what we are getting now. So I don't know what happened.
So you don't fall in any of those categories? How much when you check that you're receiving now? If you don't mind sharing.
When we check it? I would get into the 3 no per week. And my brethren would get in the 4 per week. No. The 4.6. Before the increase on. So I think you people need to get to somebody there to give us some clarity on it. Because do not fall in on none of us payment what we are getting weekly. I know you get it monthly now, but when you work it back down by weekly, it don't add up to the figure we give.
And you don't fall in the sugar workers category, because I see here on the list that they are classified differently.
None of us was a sugar worker.
Ah, okay.
But my friend was working with a private company, but all of my working was with government still. Not sugar worker. Ministry.
And you're sure there's no more add-on onto what you're getting, because that could also affect the amount that you receive, which is more than what he probably would have announced.
No more than this more getting from the last increase what they give until this moment. So
yeah, well, if the figures as you indicated is different, that something is off. Probably need to check it.
Yeah, seriously. Seriously, there's no doubt about it. I'm not doubt about what I'm saying. Because I have my facts. At least I have my book. I can print a copy and show now what me is getting now compared to what him said. You're not surprised, you know, say what I'm saying to you. I am fully sure that I correct.
Mm-hmm.
But
All
would I
right.
like
Some
to
work
hear
following
from
up on.
I'd like to hear from somebody from the ministry to give us the rundown of the full, the 3/4, and the half.
Okay. And remind us again how much you say you're receiving now?
All right, me tell you. I'm receiving 15,000 per month. Work out that.
No, man. When you work it on to the okay, so let me work it out
Right, 15,000.
and then see.
300. So just a rough calculation, you know, so that's what the actress they call it 3,800 per week.
Right. I see
And
what you're saying.
right, and my budget is getting say 18 now.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So that
Yes,
much,
yes.
That much closer, more than the figure what was announced to us.
All right.
All right. Something to follow up on. Thank you.
Anthony, good evening.
Hey, Ricardo. Hey, Sanjay. How you guys doing?
Doing all
Hi,
right.
Anthony.
Yeah. Ricardo.
Yes, sir.
In terms of, like, advisor to ministers, normally, most of the time, the advisors would be somebody who is, like, from their party, right? Support the policies of their party and stuff like that. Would that be a fair statement?
I wouldn't say necessarily from the party, but I would say somebody who shares the, let's say, ideological outlook. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's it. That's it. I want to put that out first. So, to Mr. Mark Golden's statement now, the Prime Minister's statutory thing not certified and stuff, and he was saying that if in other countries or some other country, the Prime Minister could not go back for re-election. I want to say also that in some other countries, you could not have Ronnie Lawrence being a member or have anything to do at the Integrity Commission based on his antecedent and long-time friendship with the General Secretary of the PNP. You could not have a former advisor, a former advisor to the former Minister of Finance, Dr. Peter Phillips, being on the Integrity Commission, because those would have been labeled as somebody who is aligned to the politics, which even if they are not doing anything, but just the association alone would disqualify them, because that in itself can create an issue, which we see when Dayton Campbell makes certain statements in terms of what is going to happen at the Integrity Commission, and we see some of those stuff comes out and all of that. So if he's going to make those statements and stuff, we need to look at it from all angles, all possible angles, and stuff. So there is nothing based on the law of and stuff that the IC is as used to say they have not found nothing to say why they have not certified the Prime Minister's statutory deductions and stuff. And there is nothing that says that they should refer to FID or whatever. If they check what the Prime Minister submitted and they have not found anything untoward, their only other choice was to certify. They choose not to, and in my opinion, Ricardo and Sanjay, I think there is politics playing into that part of it. You understand what I'm saying? So I am saying that Mr. Golden's statement, by now you should have realized that the wheel under that has run out. You understand what I'm saying? And while they are there with the gas running out on their buses and whatever and all of those stuff, the Prime Minister is doing what he has done in St. Thomas today and stuff. One other thing, Ricardo and Sanjay, I was scrolling through social media, and to be honest, I can't verify the person, but I was listening to a clip in one of the councillors in Westmoreland that was telling comrades that the opposition leader give each of them 400,000 and they take it, and now it's time for them to pay back and stuff. So again, I am saying, if you live in a glass house, don't throw a stone, because we see what happened at the KCMC, and that other clip that I'm telling you that I saw a councillor, one of the councillors, on the political platform during I think it was a Darliston conference that happened last week or something like that, making such comments. You know what I'm saying? So Mr. Golden needs to clean up his house before he tries to put the Prime Minister and the JLP in a bad light. And that is my contribution this evening. And stuff. Come with some policy idea. That's what we want to hear. And stuff. I mean, they have been in opposition for how much years now? Their manifesto should be ready and out there for we as a voting public to view and stuff, instead of trying to major in the minor as right about now. That is it, Ricardo Sanjay. Blessed.
Thanks, Anthony.
All right. All the best. Thanks, Anthony. Right.
630-937-124-618-8255. Sanjay, you're gonna have to visit the urban center in St. Thomas.
Yes.
It's quite nice.
Based on all that I'm hearing, yeah. Something that some must see, I'm told.
Yeah.
Pretty.
It's quite nice. And it's good. I noted that St. Thomas was trending on X today. It's good. As somebody who comes from out the east, my God, man, St. Thomas was.
It can no longer be seen as a forgotten parish.
I rarely went there. It was perhaps in proximity. No, it's true. Outside of Kingston, obviously, it was probably nearest in proximity. Yes. I rarely went there. Driving there used to be a headache. I go there now almost every single morning.
Oh?
Yes. Because it looks surprised. No, that's not why I go there every morning. There's an outlet there that I like. And now that I can just zoops on the highway and zoops come back, it's not a problem. So I go there now almost every day. And before, rarely, I used to go there.
And, Ricardo, it's amazing sometimes what, a little development can do for a particular area.
Yeah.
The fact that, the roads are now there and, the infrastructure is also coming along with the roads. It's allowing individuals to go where they normally would go.
Yeah. I saw somebody, and I was trying to find out where she got the list. Somebody tweet a list of businesses that are going to be there. And trust me, that it's good. It really is good. And I'm happy for the people of St. Thomas, because there's no good reason why they should have been ignored for so long. And it's such a beautiful parish, I think, we always talk about St. Anne and Portland, but St. Thomas is actually quite nice, especially on a really, really sunny day. It's really nice. The mountain ridges and the rivers, it's nice. Gardner.
Well.
Yes. A question I like to ask, why is 60% of the people in Jamaica not voting? Do you have a clue why?
Whoa, Gardner, that's a tough one, my brother.
Are they rejecting both parties?
Let me just say, voter apathy is not unique to Jamaica. And I'm not making excuses. I just want to put that out there. I think that people, though, have lost trust in the system. And people are more focused on what is it that they can get for themselves, not understanding the importance of electing individuals, because they will and can ultimately determine what you get in terms of resources, accessibility, etc. But they're just not interested.
That is very bad.
I agree with you. I I accept that the system, and I say to people all the time, the system is not perfect.
I was just thinking of maybe it's
But I
because
can't
of,
conceive.
what has happened over the years in the past.
Yes.
Why, when both parties used to associate with some dance, so people saying, what? And then start to back off. Because if you look at the trend, it's coming from somewhere late 70s, coming to the 80s, coming to right along.
Yeah,
and before it was like that.
I think, you know what I think? I think we really started to see a fall off in the late 90s, early 2000s, because I think before that it was fairly high, it was decent. But here's what I think. I don't know if I think it's so much about the donemanship. I think it's more about people feeling that the system has not delivered. And for a very long time, the truth is that it did not deliver.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the truth. Successive governments did not deliver sufficiently, and especially at a time when the rest of the world was booming.
And what's surprising again is that the last government before this one started to subtract money from housing trust, but this one continues on the same trend. So it's like both of them is traveling in the same direction.
And
you know, sorry, go ahead, Ricardo.
No, go ahead.
I wouldn't say so much NHD having such a great deal which affects, you know, how individuals vote. I think it goes right back to what Ricardo indicated, that people have gotten so disenchanted because they're not seeing things happening. And because they're not seeing things happening, the first question that they ask, why should I vote for any of the two political parties when they cannot deliver on things that they have promised, one, and also deliver on my
And you know what?
needs?
Yes. But you know what happened quite recently, a lot of friends and family tell me, but they're not going to vote at all because they have to spend so much money because as I heard somebody say on the radio and needed just drive out of somewhere uptown there with a knife under feet and hear the car break up in pieces, tire burst, rim burst. I think the minister was saying something like that. You know, some people just get fed up and say they're not voting.
And then
Because
what do you find happening now?
I spent about 98,000. I spent about 98,000 on my car.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, changed the front shocks twice, and some other parts, tire burst. You know.
Is this the gardener who was Michael at one time? Hello?
Hello?
I'm saying your name was Michael at one time.
Go ahead.
Sorry?
Go ahead.
No, I'm asking. Did you give us your name as Michael at one point?
That's the full name.
Oh, Michael Gardner.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I just recall because I remember you telling us about the pothole. Yes.
Yeah, man, tire damage and things. I don't really vote because
Why? Because you're part of the system now and the group of individuals that we're talking about.
Huh?
You are part of the very system that we're speaking about. Those who are not interested in voting.
Because I was following a trend with Bruce Golding, and then he fell off, and then I just sit down. Can't be bothered. I think Bruce Golding would have changed a lot of things, but he just switched back to. Because I was part of that movement, and then I just decided I don't want to vote anymore.
Well, my brother, all I can say is that I urge you to reconsider. Voting is important.
I don't think it make it worse now when I see the money subtracting from housing trust.
All right, Gardner. Thanks for the call.
And you know, Ricardo, that's part of the challenge. You know, everybody have their different reasons.
Yeah.
For not voting. Here is on the money being deducted from the NHD.
I've come to accept that.
You can't please everyone at all.
Edgar Gardner is asking if I've ever been to the Bath Fountain. Yes, I did go there. I mean, under bad circumstances that time when those girls were missing in St. Thomas, and I'd covered that story out there. That's where we stayed at the Bath Fountain. It's really, really nice. I did enjoy my time there, and the botanical gardens at Bath. But no, for those who are considering not voting, I urge you to try to find a reason. I feel like if we don't vote, we leave the choice to somebody else. You know, you leave the choice to somebody else, and I get why people stay away, and I understand some people think it's perhaps a higher ideal to stay away because you're above it all. But ever since I've had the right to vote in this country, once I am in the country, I make sure I go vote.
Yep.
Yeah.
Same.
think
It's important.
Absolutely.
It is. I don't even understand that right that you have, you know, and how important it is. And it is also important to keep politicians on edge. Yeah, you demand more from them.
Yeah.
When a politician can come and say,
And count
this
properly,
constituency
right.
is mine,
Yeah.
and I can secure, and I
Yeah.
have how many secured votes, it's because we are staying away from the
Right, so
system.
them know them can only count the people them who
Yeah.
them sure about. Them know say, yeah, Bugs are gonna do it, Sanjay are gonna do it, yeah. No man,
Yeah.
keep the canvassers guessing. And you only can
Yes.
do that if you go out and vote, participate.
And what will happen, Ricardo, you will see them go out and work. That's why you have constituencies where it is close. You have both sides on the ground working because they know that they don't have it secure in their bag.
Me love election day when me I go in and the outdoor agent them stop me and them say, "What's your name?" And I say them I look on them list and I look on them and them can't figure out where am I going to go. Me love that. Me love that feeling there.
Yeah.
But no, you should go out and vote. That's all the time we have.
important.
Dana Davy, thank you so much. Bugs, like I say Andrew, but you know, I respect the order. Bugs, thank
No,
you
I'm
so
the last time, right?
Our colleagues in the newsroom, led by our editor, Cara Powell. Thank you all so much. Our sponsors, contributors, and you, our valued listeners. We appreciate you. I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I also want to say hello to those on YouTube. Marigold Weber, of course, we have to the teacher, I call her. You have to pick her up. My name is Sanjay Lewis. Have yourselves a wonderful evening.
Good evening.
As a